Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Umineko. Natsuhi has just, well, I would say witnessed, more like she listened to someone being brutally murdered for what we believe is the second Twilight. And she's just left the closet she was hiding in after everyone discovered the body. She's trying to sneak back to her room, and it's not going to go well. Or at least we'll see. I'm thinking she's going to look extra suspicious, having, napped in her room and possibly had 10 people knocking on her door before they went anywhere. We'll see if she gets caught and accused of being super sus, as she's basically she claims that the door and chain were locked and that someone came into the room while she was hiding in the closet, brutally murdered someone, and then she just snuck out afterwards. After everyone came, saw the body, and tried to investigate. Oh boy, it's gonna be fun. Good luck, Natsuhi. Try not to get caught and accused of murder. I passed through the hallway to the lobby. If I go up the big staircase in the lobby, my room is just a little bit...
Natsuhi-san?
Natsuhi-san. Ooh, that sounds like Erika. Just as she was about to go up the large staircase, Natsuhi heard Erika call out to her, and was so surprised she visibly jumped.
I
was about to go and tell you the news. Uh-oh. So, got caught, less than 5 seconds into her excursion outside the room? Now remember, she ostensibly claimed that the reason she didn't try to help in her head, her reasoning for not saving, I just forgot the guy's name. I know who he is. Hideyoshi? Yeah, Hideyoshi. Okay. Her reason for not saving Hideyoshi was because she had to wait an hour in the closet so that Kraus wouldn't die. And then after the murder and the investigation, she just decided to fucking leave there anywhere and go for her room, which means I feel like Hideyoshi died for no reason. But we should read Hideyoshi's description. His corpse was found in a guest room on the first floor of the manor. A demon stake pierced through his back. The tip reached as far as his lungs. Because he was laying face down, it's unthinkable this was a suicide. Alright. Face down on the bed, sorry. Okay. Well, Natsuhi, you're looking extra suspicious from Erika's perspective, as you were supposed to be sleeping in your room. I think you lied. Erika's caught you out. And Erika was about to check the closet, but was dragged off by Battler, as of course, Battler hates her and doesn't want her to investigate anything. As Battler is probably the least useful teammate you've ever had. You know that teammate in League who just intentionally feeds the opponent to get the game over with faster? Yeah, that's fine when you're already losing and some idiot won't surrender, but it's a little bit worse when they're feeding from the first life. Or when they're just telling people your location in any other game. It's wonderful stuff. Battler is the worst teammate. He basically actively sabotages you. You're not sure, unarmed, lightweight, 45-year-old Natsuhi would have been able to defeat a male-armed killer alone? Doesn't she have weapons training in the first place? She specifically said Naginata. I mean, that's not directly applicable to martial arts, but martial arts and weapons training do go hand in hand in terms of martial disciplines, and several of your motions will be very similar with pull arms. Actually, they're similar. Several of your motions are translatable or similar to basic karate. You wouldn't be an expert, but you'd have an idea of some motions if you spent some time training. Some basic strikes, not grabs. But anyway, 45-year-old Natsuhi could probably help you out. I feel like just having a second person would be helpful. Get a surprise, grab his knife or whatever. Help Hideyoshi out. He might survive if he wasn't already dead. Now, if nothing else, Natsuhi should have at least opened the closet to try and get a view of the killer, because the killer possibly knows she's already knows she's there. But she didn't try to do that. She kind of just waited there. And then gave away her attempt at not getting caught. Anyway. Battler doesn't want to win. As a team, he wants to play a battle royale. True, Battler wants to beat everybody. And by everybody, he means he hates everyone. Right. I was about to go and tell you the news. Well, the news that someone's dead? Curious. Thanks. Did something happen? Battler knows his priorities. Waifu, prideu, lifu. Yeah. Yeah, his waifu and his pride above his life. You know, sometimes that's a meme where it's like, you know, people value their waifu more than their life. Or if you mess with them, you get the knife. You know how that is? Battler's taking that way too literally. He's like my imaginary waifu versus my entire family living. I'll take my imaginary waifu. Fuck my whole family. Fuck every real person who exists. And you're like, really? Really? Battler. Bad decision. Battler makes bad choices. Battler makes bad choices in team kills. Natsuhi just throws as hard as possible. That's life. I mean, you mean fuck your ex? Yeah, but like, Battler actually likes some of his family members. That's the thing, right? Like, he actually kind of likes Kyrie, and he doesn't really seem to have any problems with Maria, George, or Jessica. And he's just like, I'd rather simp for this imaginary woman I ran into who I don't believe exists. It's like, but what about the rest of your family? Fuck them. Fuck them. The whole family can die. It's like, I mean, you're actually killing people who could be saved here? Come on, dude. At least give it some effort. At least give it some effort. Oh well, he's a virgin, you know? That's not an excuse. That's not an excuse to abandon your morality. He's 18. If he were anywhere other than Japan, he'd be a fucking adult. And he's certainly competent. He certainly should be competent enough to know that the lives of, 15, 18, 17 other people? 17 other people? 16 other people? Are more valuable than simping for an imaginary woman. But whatever. Did something happen? Wow, that's one way to play dumb. Just now, Natsuhi-san. You were climbing the stairs, right? Your room is upstairs, isn't it? Erika coldly pointed out this strange fact, and Natsuhi cursed her bad luck. I couldn't sleep. I was going to return to the parlor. But I wasn't sure whether I locked my room or not, so I was about to head back. Well, that's one way to lie to Miss Detective. That's an interesting way. Well, at least she's trying to lie. I'm a warrior. This sort of thing happens a lot. Honestly, I've done that a few times where I've like had to go back. I mean, it's a bit questionable, but I'll be honest, I've done that a few times where I have to go back and check that I locked my apartment door. And honestly, like, if I'm uncertain, I check, because I have actually like forgotten it once or twice because like my hands were full. So yeah, I think it's reasonable to go back and check the lock on your door. Whether or not you'd assume that this person actually did that and isn't lying to protect themselves depends on the scenario. Like this one where someone got fucking murdered. Don't worry about it. I'd be suspicious, but it's very circumstantial. That sort of thing happens a lot. She's making a sound like she's gonna let her go, but I'm pretty sure she's suspicious. It's a common quirk among people who aren't confident in their memory. Normally, since Erika was clearly making fun of her, Natsuhi might have looked annoyed. However, right now, Natsuhi was extremely relieved to hear Erika admit this sort of thing happened a lot. Erika is pacifying her. Yeah. Why are you by yourself, Erika-san? I thought I'd investigate that guest room. Guest room? Yes. The situation's gotten pretty serious, hasn't it? Investigating the scene of the crime is my right. Erika's probing gaze peered deep into Natsuhi's eyes. She could tell Erika already suspected Natsuhi, and judging by the subtle nuance in her words, she must be planning to make me slip up and reveal that I know about the crime with Hideyoshi when I supposedly haven't been told about it yet. Natsuhi played dumb and asked what happened again.
何か
Is something wrong?
いいえ、何でも。
No, it's nothing. Of course it's nothing. Yeah? It's always nothing. Just a couple bodies lying on the floor, no big deal.
また最初の事件の繰り返し
Just
です
repeated the first crime, isn't it?
どういう意味ですか
What do you mean?
またあなたは自室で
Yen, you were
そ
in
して
your
今
room.
回もそのアリバイを証明できないわけですよね
Yen, you can't prove your alibi, can you? I mean, this is mostly her fault. Invisible man telling her to hide in the room. And all.
おっしゃっている意味がわかりま
I don't know
せ
what you
ん逆を言えば私が自室にいなかったことをあなたこそどう証明されるわけですか
Turn it around, how can you prove I wasn't in my room?
おやそうならばそれはおいおい
Take that one step at
鍵
a
は
time.
後にしてください
Please worry about your lock
皆さ
later.
んに重大な話があります
I have something vitally important to discuss with everyone.
鍵
I'm
を
listening.
確認したら戻ります
I'll come back after I check my
先に
lock.
始めていてください
Please get started without me.
秀吉さんが殺されました
Hideyoshi-san's been
そ
killed.
の件についてです
Be talking about that.
Huh?
What?
え
She'd planned on using the need to check her lock as an excuse to escape to her own room, after which she'd claimed to have a sudden headache and stay in bed the rest of the time. However, now that she'd been informed of Hideyoshi's murder, it would clearly be suspicious to postpone that and escape to her room. She was already under suspicion just because she'd been seen heading up the stairs to the second floor. She couldn't afford to do anything else suspicious. Natsuhi gave up and headed for the parlor as Erika had urged her to do. When she opened the door to the parlor, Ava's sobs poured out, and everyone glanced at Natsuhi with grave faces. The gazes almost made it look as though they suspected Natsuhi. It was now painfully apparent to Natsuhi this must have been what that man was after. It was a trap to create a baffling closed-room mystery and try to frame her for it. However, she couldn't have resisted. She couldn't sacrifice her husband's life except when she could, you know, by immediately leaving the closet when she thought it was risky to stay there. Try to be consistent. Try to be consistent if you expect me to have sympathy for you, Natsuhi. Well, it's true I hid in the closet. That's, well, all I did. I'm not sure anyone's gonna buy that, even if it is true. I definitely didn't commit murder. I might be extremely sus, but I'm not the culprit. Most importantly, I'm not under suspicion yet. I'll tell the police everything I have to endure until then. That's the perspective we're getting. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna tell the police. Yeah. I'll tell the police. That'll solve everything. Yeah, okay. I'm sure one of the servants is a traitor. Even in a situation like this, if I mention my husband being held hostage, the culprit will hear and make use of it as an excuse to kill him.
ちょうど夏日さんが戻ってきてくれました
Natsuhi-san's just come back.
全員が揃ったところで私から皆さんにとても
Is
重
this
要
where
な
her
話があります
accusation comes in? Now that we're all here, I have something very important to discuss with you all. Okay.
重要な話
Something important. Erika, so far, has been, apart from pushing us towards investigating stuff, has been suspiciously wrong, so I'm thinking her prediction's gonna also be off.
え重要な話
That's
です
just why I'm like, where's the trick for Natsuhi? It seems obvious. Oh, hey, how's it going, my dude?
最初の事件からをすべて
I'd like
皆
to
さん
lay
の
out
前で
everything
整理
in
したい
front
と
of
思
you.
います
All of you, starting with the first crime.
それなら他の皆さんとなさってください
Please do that with just the others.
私はそういうことは警察に任せるべきと思
I
ってい
think
ま
we
す
should leave that sort of thing to the police.
関心がありません
I'm not interested.
整理した上で重要なお話があるのです
Does I have it all laid out? It's a very important thing to
あな
discuss.
たにも誰にも断る権利はありません
Neither you nor anyone else has the right to refuse.
No.
Erica, I think you're taking things too aggressively. See, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the detective doesn't make any announcements till they have a 100% solution on the case. In the event they have some circumstantial evidence, they don't just ambitiously proclaim that it's the truth of the game because they're not necessarily wrong. You have some Among Us trauma from Natsuhi's situation, being gaslighted and blamed for something you didn't do. I mean, that's Among Us. Sometimes you simply don't have any evidence that you were where you were, and you're like, well, I guess that sucks. Yep, sure. I usually just tell people to fucking airlock me if they're that serious about me being the killer. I'm like, well, I didn't do it. I was here. I don't give a fuck if you believe me or not. Just kill me. And I say that whether I'm the killer or not. It doesn't really matter. That's usually how it goes for me. It's like sometimes you're just by yourself and you're like, well, I was over here. Because maybe you finished all your tasks and are investigating someone, or you were simply walking to a task, or doing some weird shit investigating someone you thought was suspicious. Erica used her detective's authority to proclaim the start of an assembly. Oh boy, here we go again. None of the pieces could disobey. Praying she wouldn't become the topic of conversation, Natsuhi reluctantly sat on the sofa as she'd been urged to.
Sumimasen.
Oh, sorry.
その扉閉めてもらえます?
Can you close that door for me?
はい.
Yes. Literally getting trashed because the killer has more charisma. Yeah, feels bad, man. It's a social game, so some amount of charisma is pretty important. Or at the very least, being aggressively pushing theories helps a lot in most social games. I mean, it's better than, in my opinion, it's better than nobody doing something. It's the fucking worst when nobody wants to try and solve things. You're like stuck playing like Mafia with like a bunch of people who are just like, oh no, yeah, I don't know anything. Let's just not do anything. And you're like, oh god, please, please. The goal is to try and solve problems, not sit there and wait until nobody's left alive. Chen and Cannon closed the door. Since it had been decided a short while ago to lock all doors and windows carefully, Cannon locked it. That lock, which existed to protect the safety of this room, felt like a lock on a prison cell to Natsuhi, one that would hold her in place and prevent any escape. Natsuhi still hadn't noticed. Though Erika had gone into the corridor to check the crime scene in Hideyoshi's room, her goal had changed. In other words, from Erika's POV, the sound of that lock was truly...
Checkmate.
Checkmate. Checkmate. Erika said that suddenly. Berncastel said that suddenly.
あら早い.
Oh, fast.
何? もう犯人分かっちゃったの? まだ
You
事件
figured
だと
out the
全
culprit
然
already?
進んでないのよ.
Barely got to any of the crimes,
も
right?
う少し殺させていろいろと手がかりを集めればいいのに.
Could have just let me kill a few more and gathered a few clues yourself.
さあラムダ、すべての駒を集めなさい。
Okay, Lambda. Gather all the
こ
pieces.
こからが一番面白いんじゃない？
Now we're getting to the most interesting
思い
part.
切り楽しみましょう。
Let's enjoy it to the fullest.
どうかしらね.
Well, let's see.
お手並み拝見と行くわよ.
Why don't you show me what you've got?
24時のゲームセットを待たずにもう仕掛けてきたとはな。
To think she'd lay down the challenge without waiting for game set at 2400.
ベルンカステル教名。
What a hasty person.
気の早い御人よ。
This lady Berncastel, very aggressive.
相当の早仕掛けですな。
It's quite an early
この段
challenge.
階でもう勝てる算段があると
I think she's already managed to obtain a winning hand at this stage. Very impressive. I agree, Ronove.
普段なら魔女の
You
存
wanted
在
to
を
see all
主
the
張する
murderers?
だけで勝てる
I
けど
guess we'll just have to kill Battler. Yeah. Normally you can win just by claiming that a witch exists.
今回は夏日や金蔵や守るものが多いわ。
But with Natsuhi and Kinzo, we've got a lot we need to protect this
面倒
time.
な戦いになりそうね。
Sounds like this fight's gonna be a huge pain.
面倒な戦い、大いに望むところよ。
No problem at all.
わらわの黄金の島でこれ以上の好き勝手はさせぬわ。
I won't let them do as they please with my golden island any longer. Oh? So what's the plan then, Beatrice?
受けて立とうぞ。ベルンカステル教
Bring it on, Lady
クル
Berncastel.
ドエリカ
Bruno Erica. Bring it on. What's happening? In the Golden Land, the endless rain continued falling. Guess we're not getting that trial quite right away. Battler was nowhere to be seen. It would very soon reach the time Battler had joined in on the 5th game, and control of the pieces would be passed on to Battler. In other words, he would only be officially added to the game now in this final stage where Berncastel had pinpointed the culprit, so he'd left the Arbor a short while ago. Now the only ones in sight were Virgilia, who continued knitting silently, and Beato, who just sat there blankly amidst the smell of her black tea. I mean, black tea is nice. She didn't even put the cup to her lips. Virgilia stopped knitting for a moment and looked out across the vast golden rose garden that extended as far as the eye could see.
バトラ君は誰が犯人云々というだけのゲームなら
I believe it's safe to say, at least in the game over who the culprit is.
もう二度と屈することのない力を身につけたと言えるでしょう。
Battler has gained such strength he will never surrender again. Fair enough, Virgilia. Although he may not be very committed to winning.
第4のゲームまでであなたはすべてのメッセージを
By the 4th game, you sent him all your messages.
つまりバトラ君はいつでもすべての真実に気づいても良いということです。
In other words, at this time, Battler-kun is capable of realizing the truth at any
し
moment.
かし彼には甘えがある。
But he's still soft in some
こ
ways.
のままゲームを幾百と続けたとしても
Even if the games continue like this
永
100
遠
times,
に解けはしない。
you won't solve it forever. Oh,
まるで青い鳥を探すかのように永遠にさまよい続けるだけ。
like someone trying to find the blue bird. That's not a good metaphor. And that is you, Beatrice. It's the same for you. Even if this game continues 100 more times, you'll never reach the answer you seek for all eternity. Well, that's unfortunate. Guess she's stuck. Get out of luck. Berncastel will abuse the game without a doubt, and Lambda Delta will turn this game about with the utmost arrogance. At a glance, it might be humiliating and appear to you and Battler as though the game has been stolen from you. However, that's something the two of you need right now. Is it? To end Battler's naive softness, to end your hesitation.
だからあなたは
And that's
あの
why
二人を呼んだのです。
you called the two of them
あ
here.
なたたちの永遠の拷問を
To end this
終わら
eternal
せるため
torment between the two of you.
あの二人はあなたに勝利か敗北のいずれかを与えるでしょう。
you either victory or defeat.
しかしそれはいずれであってももはや慈悲に満ちたものです。
No matter how it goes, that result's already been filled with compassion.
あなたにももうそれは分かっているはず。
You should understand that as well by now. Virgilia faced Beato, who she had come to adore as a daughter. Cold eyes that she must not have shown often. It was the gaze of a mother who, instead of scolding, silently urged their child to recognize their mistake. It was an empty text box is what it was there. Beatrice,
あなたはいつまでそうして
how long do you intend to stay there?
生きるでもなく
Neither alive
死ぬでもなく
nor dead.
天国に昇るでもなく
Not rising up to heaven nor descending to hell,
地
I'm
獄
sure.
に落ちる煉獄山の頂上でぼん
There
や
on
り
the
としてい
peak
る
of
つも
Mount
りなの。
Purgatory. Well, forever. It's a long time, but she's trying. Let me
私
tell you,
は
forever's a long time. I am
彼を
Virgilia.
煉獄山に案内し頂上のあなたのところまで連れてきました。
I've guided him through purgatory and brought him to you at its
そして
peak.
あなたはベアトリーチェ。
And you are
彼の
Beatrice.
手を取って天国へ登るか彼を抱いて地獄へ落ちるか
You must
選
choose
ばなく
whether
てはならない。
you must choose whether to take his hand and rise to heaven, or grab him and fall into hell. Did you know that the Discord called Purgatory, which lies in the gap between heaven and hell? Sorry, I didn't know that they referred to Discord in the 80s. I thought that was a modern, like, 2010s program. It's sometimes more torturous than even hell itself. On the gates of hell, it's written, you must abandon all hope. A human without hope can accept their suffering and give up. However, the residents in purgatory, well, they have hope. Bit of a share, I guess. A hope of possibly reaching heaven. A hope that can't be abandoned. Discord is like it's a Discord. Yeah, purgatory Discord. Interesting. It tortures them. Even in the depths of hell, no greater torture device exists than the single pin known as hope.
飛びなさい
Fly.
煉獄の崖より
Fly from the cliffs of
淡
purgatory.
く脆くてくだらない希望の未練ごと
Take with
パンドラの箱を開け放ってしまいなさい
Regret caused by your fleeting, fragile, foolish hopes, and open up Pandora's box. That's
怖
a
いで
dramatic
しょ
one. Are you scared? Should I be?
箱を開けるのは
Scared of opening the box? Beato was silent, but with a single tear she nodded slightly.
箱の中の猫は生きているの
Is the box
死んで
alive
い
or
るの
dead?
かそれを確かめる時が
The time has
来ま
come
した
to check.
死んでいる猫ならば早く供養して天へ登ってもらいなさい
If the cat is dead, quickly hold a funeral for it and have it
生
rise
きて
to
いる
heaven.
猫ならば早く餌を与えてすべての愛情を注いであげ
If
な
the
さい
cat is alive, quickly feed it and give it all your
生き死に
affection,
に関係なく
whether
あ
alive
な
nor
たの
dead,
猫箱は
or dead.
猫を永遠に冒涜していま
Your
す
cat box eternally desecrates the
あなた
cat.
が開くことを恐れた箱の鍵をあの二人が持ってきてくれましたよ
Umineko has solved. Beatrice and Battle are two politics redditors arguing in a Discord server. That sounds about accurate. You're basically arguing with bad internet logic to get everywhere. Makes sense to me. Is Natsuhi the killer of the man from 19 years ago? It's kind of silly if a magic man from 19 years ago is the killer and they keep introducing new killers every arc. I'm leaning towards Natsuhi simply because she claims the bolt and chain were never removed in her own evidence. So like her first person perspective is that the chain was never unlocked. Are they gonna claim that there's hidden passages? Are we going back to hidden passages in all of the fucking rooms? Like, I don't think so. So, the guy never got in, and it's probably Natsuhi as the killer. Key to the box you were afraid to open has been brought to you by those two. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Beatrice, it's time for you to die now. I hope. I hope your heart is stopped by the hand of the person you desire. Is that really a good ending for her? Well, only Beatrice can say that's a good one for her. Okay, well I have no clue what time it is since it's just accelerating the clock like crazy. Okay. Are we going straight to midnight of the next day? Or at midnight that night? I guess that's where we're going. We just fast forwarding. We just skipped like a whole pile of hours. Okay, I guess we're going to the final trial or whatever. We actually fast forwarded? I thought they were just gonna have a discussion and then fast forward. Shit, alright. All of the pieces from the game board were gathered. Shit, what? A new room? All the humans, furniture, witches, and witches on an even higher level. They gathered in one place. What is this awkward, stilted scrolling? You guys are seeing this, right? It was moving like 3 frames per second. And it wasn't even consistent. It was like bup, 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 bup. Feels weird, man. The place was like a solemn cathedral with an unbelievably high ceiling. Yep. I can see that. Oh, that looks like a visual bug. White stonework. Gold ornaments. Though there were windows, there were no entrances nor exits. It was a strange, strange place. But for some reason, no one wondered where this strange place was. Because they were not given the right to think of this place as strange.
コマドも
The pieces!
全員揃ったかしら？
Have they all been gathered? I would assume so.
全員揃いましたであります。
Yes, they have.
ご苦労様。
Well done.
そうかね。
What a show. Was it that good?
一体今ここに何人いるのかし
I
ら？
wonder how many people are here. More than there were last chapter, which is more than there were the chapter before that.
何人いようとも18人を超えた存在は全て幻よ。
No matter how many we see, every being outside the 18 is a phantom.
それを認めさせるのがわらわのゲームでな。
Yeah, I'm still leaning towards the mysterious man on the phone not being real. Simply because they said that they couldn't have, simply because they said that new characters would not inherently not be the killer. As we hadn't been introduced to them. Here you go, my man, what's up? 3 witches were seated on special thrones set upon a very high balcony. In the center sat the game master, Lambda Delta. On either side of the semicircular balcony sat Berncastel and Beatrice facing each other. Below them, Erica ran forward, lifted the corners of her skirt, and bowed respectfully.
大ラムダデルタ教、我が集会宣言をお聞き届けくださり、感謝いたします。
Great Lady Lambda Delta, we thank you for granting our request for an assembly.
そして、大ベルンカステル教、
And the Great Lady Berncastel, my master. Oh boy,
ご
here we
期
go.
待ください。
Please look forward to it. Is this where Erica fucks up and gets herself killed?
必ずや主を苛む退屈の毒を一時であろうとも忘れさせてご覧に入れます。
Though it may only be for a short while, I will most certainly make my master forget about the poison that torments her.
ええ、期待しているわ。
I'm looking forward to it.
それでこそ私の分
I'm
身。
not confident in that. I'm not confident in that Erica's success. I expect no less from my
私の
double.
駒よ。
My piece. Erica and Berncastel exchanged cruel smiles that'd make anyone want to avert their gaze.
お聞きなさい。魔女ども、人間ども。
Listen up, witches and
こ
humans.
れより魔女集会にて幻想法廷の改定を宣言する。
And here I announce that this assembly of witches gathered, the Court of Illusions will now begin. This is also a completely new room that we've never used for any of our chapters so far. The commander of the game spoke with words of power. Though her words were spoken within such a vast space, they rang out with the force of a bell in a bell tower. Oh, so very forceful. Alright.
お前たちのこのゲームにおける生と役割はおしまい。
Your lives and roles as they respond to this game are
第
over.
5のゲームはこれにて閉じられ、24時を迎えての答え合わせとなるわ。
The 5th game is now closed and the 2400 hour answer session shall
で
begin.
は早速と言いたいところだけど、その前にまずは軽く自己紹介から始めようかしら。
Why do we even need introductions? Well, I'd like to get started quickly, but why don't we have everyone quickly introduce themselves first? Padding, that's
こ
why.
れだけ大勢いるんだしね。
After all, there's so many people here. Yes, but we've spent like 200 hours with you, Yukishi. We don't need introductions. Especially because people magically know who the other person is.
私はラムダデルタ。
I'm Lambda Delta. You don't say, guys. Guys, it's Lambda Delta.
絶対の魔女にして新しきゲームの支配者。
I'm the Witch of Certainty and the new commander of this game.
ベルン
Moralities
カ
and
ステル
bureaucracy. More like bad writing.
奇跡の魔女
Burn Castell, Witch of
ベアトリー
Miracles.
チェの魔女幻想のカンパを目的とするわ。
My goal is to penetrate Beatrice's illusion of the witch.
無限の魔女ベアトリーチェである。
Endless Witch Beatrice.
我が存在の主張と夏日金蔵の保護を目的
My
と
goals
する
are to claim my own existence and to protect Natsuhi and Kinzo.
バトラ様、
Battler-sama,
次なる序列は
you come next in
あなた
rank.
であります。
Speak up.
後ろ宮バトラだ。
I'm Ushiramiya Battler. I'm not really here to play the game or do much of anything.
ベアとの。
I'm fighting against
いや、
the witches. I
魔
think
女どもと
maybe.
戦ってる。
I'm fighting against them, but I'm also simping for them as hard as possible, so I kind of want them to win instead of me.
以上だ。
He seems not sure. He seems uncertain.
ご存知と思いますが、貴殿は今回のゲームは途中よりの参加となっております。
As I believe you know, you joined in on this game partway through.
魔女集会開催のこの時点ではまだ未参加ということです。
At the time of this assembly of witches, you have yet to participate. Yep, we skipped a few days. We skipped the last day, but he hasn't participated at all.
お
Moderately
分かりであ
concerning.
りますか？
Do you understand?
分かってるぜ。
I get it, I
し
get
ば
it.
らくは発言権がないってことだろ
You mean I don't have the right to speak for a while, right?
ご理解感謝であります。
Thank you for understanding. Okay, we understand. Even though Battler held a rank near that of witches, he sat on the foremost of the benches, shared with other relatives all by himself at one end. He met the gaze of Beato, who was up on the balcony.
わらわの宿敵であると一言言えばよいものを
Might have said you were my arch enemy.
う。お前だけの敵とは限らねえからだよ。
You aren't necessarily my only enemy. Yes, you might have to beat one more witch. I don't know why you need to beat Burncastel too, though. Considering she basically carried you into a winning
取
situation.
り返すぞ
Thanks to NJ. Let's take this game back.
これはわらわたちのゲームだ
It belongs to us. Together. Just the two of us forever. Yeah. It's cringe. Stop. I almost said I was fighting against Beato's illusion of the witch. Since the beginning, Beato has been my only enemy, but right now, Erica and those witches who started toying around with Beato's tail are my enemies. Yeah, okay. Are also my enemies, but still. I don't know why you hate Burncastel. She's kind of a bitch, but she's also on your side. It seems counterproductive to hate her so much. Who should I fight and how? Good lord, man, we're past the halfway point of this story. Figure out what your mission purpose is. Maybe it's a good thing I don't have the right to speak for a while. I'll come down and coolly watch over everything.
魔女集会の開催発起人にして探偵フルドエリカです。
I am the detective and one who called for this assembly of witches. Furudo Erica, she's also not a very good detective as she's already lost a couple times. And Battler will probably stab her in the back if at all possible. So her ideas have to be fucking ironclad because they have to stand to scrutiny from her allies and enemies.
この第5のゲームの犯人を暴き、この物語に愉
I'll
快な
expose
ピ
the
リオドを
culprit
与えてご覧に
of
入
the
れま
fifth
す。
game and stick a charming period on the end of this tale. By the end of the game, Battler will figure out what his objective is, right? Right? Yeah, sure. He's gonna finish this fucking series and still not know what he wants to do with them. Erica greeted the witches above her and the humans behind her once again.
私も期待してるわ。
I'm also looking forward to it.
残りのコマどもも適当にザラーっと自己紹介なさ。
Okay, remaining pieces, introduce yourself in whatever order.
人間ども、全員
Humans,
自己紹介を。
introduce yourselves, all of you. When 45 urged him to introduce himself, Kinzo stood up.
後ろ宮金蔵だ。
I'm Ushiramiya Kinzo, you don't
書
say.
斎の窓より抜け、六軒島のどこかに潜んでおる。
I slipped out of the study window and am hiding somewhere on Rockinjima.
後ろ宮クラウス
Ushiramiya Kraus.
現在は囚われの身でどこかに監禁されて
I
い
have
る
been captured and am being confined somewhere, supposedly.
後ろ宮エヴァよ
Ushiramiya
生きて
Eva.
るわ
I'm alive. I live! I'm Rudolph.
この後もずっと後ろ宮だからな名字は走るぜ
The rest of us are all Ushiromiyas too. I'll leave off the family name.
後ろローザ
I'm
です第
Rosa.
一の晩に殺されました
I was killed on the first Twilight.
ジェシカ、
Jessica.
同じく第一の番に死亡だぜ。
I also died on the first Twilight.
ジョージです。
George.
同じく第一
I
の
also
番に死
died on the
亡。
first Twilight.
マリア
Maria seems way too happy for someone who's dead.
死んじゃったけど私はこうして喋ってる
Very good, Maria. Maria, I died, but look, I'm here talking.
ね
See? At least Maria appreciates that.
死ぬことなんて大した問題じゃないでしょ
Dying isn't a big deal, right?
後ろ宮
No one
夏日
bonked.
です
No one bonked Maria for her creepy laugh. I'm Ushirmiya Natsuhi.
生きております
I am alive. Uh-huh. Erica's laughing at her. Hideyoshi here. I
つい
died on
さ
the
っき
second.
殺されたばかりや。
I died a short while ago. You were killed. Rest in peace.
キリエよまだ生きてるわ
I'm still alive.
南條です。
Nancho.
私も流れておりますな。
I'm also hanging in there. Well, he's not dead, so it could be worse.
源氏と申します。
Genji died on the first
第
Twilight.
一の番に死亡でございます。
Rip Genji.
シャノンです
I'm Shannon.
生存してます
I'm still alive.
カノンです
I'm
同
Canon.
じく生存
I'm also alive.
ゴーダです。
I'm
よ
Goda.
ろしくお願いします。
Pleased to meet you,
皆様
everyone.
方。
Ooh, Mr. Fancy Pants,
熊
are we?
沢でございます
I'm
よろ
Kumasawa.
しくお願いします
Pleased to meet you.
続いて魔女
On to the witches.
全員自己紹介を
Everyone introduce yourselves. Oh my god, the awkward scroll to the left. No. I'd rather just snapped instead of this slow scroll. Oh my goodness. I could take a nap and come back feeling refreshed before this thing finished scanning to the left. Or panning to the left. It's a panning shot right now. Not a scanning shot. Virgilia's group could also be seen. Amazing. Unlike the floor Beato's group was on, the second floor had a balcony that looked like a raised audience seating. And there they sat, looking down as though they were at a theater.
ワルギリアと申します
My name is Virgilia.
ベアトリーチェの師匠です
I am Beatrice's teacher.
ガープよ
I'm Ga.
死体を消す役担当
Making corpses disappear is my job.
ロノウェ紅茶
Ronove,
を入れる役
in
担
charge
当
of
です
making
な。
black tea. Yep. It's true.
煉獄の七姉妹を代表してご挨拶
Good
申し上げ
lord,
ます
every steak too. Lucifer, I greet you in the name of the seven sisters of
第二の番
purgatory.
の秀吉殺人を担当しました
I served in the murder of Hideyoshi on the second Twilight.
煉獄の七姉妹ここに
The seven sisters of purgatory right here.
続けてエリカ教の家具どもは自己紹介を
Let's have Lady Erica's furniture introduce themselves. They said every piece, but my god. We didn't need this introduction. We know all these characters.
ガートルード
Gertrude,
異端審問補佐官なり
Assistant Inquisitor of Heresy.
コーネリア異
Cornelia,
端審問補佐官なり
Assistant Inquisitor of Heresy. The two of them could be seen on the second floor audience seating. They sat apart from Virgilia's group. Delanor was seated between the two, and she slowly stood up. She had a presence and dignity about her as though she was overseeing everything from that place.
ドラノール・エノックスであります
Delanor A. Knox is my
エリ
name.
カ教の史跡補佐を
I'm
務めます
Erica's primary assistant.
バトラー
Battler.
あなたには期待しています
I expect much from you.
私を失望させないでください
Please don't disappoint me.
お互い全力でぶつかるだけ
Well, let's just give it all we've got.
ドラノールの出番は本来なら必要あり
Most
ま
of the
せん
time, there will be no need for Delanor to step forward.
しかし魔女側が醜く言い逃れをもて
Did
あそぶとき
Kumasawa get
それを
introduced in
断罪
this?
してもらわねば
Like
な
the
りませ
regular
ん
one? I feel like a couple people are missing. However, when the witch side plays around with ugly word games, I'll need to have Delanor convict them.
書斎での奇跡は二度と起こりませんから
A miracle like the one in the study won't happen again. We haven't seen you actually get better from something that went poorly for you, so it's hard to tell if that is actually true. Oh, she was introduced with Goda. I'm just blind. Okay. Finally, let's introduce ourselves. We're the Siestra Sisters, Imperial Guards tasked with the management of proceedings at this Assembly of Witches. Hello. How's it going, Siestra 45? And 410? This ends the introduction of all pieces. A total of 38 people are present here. 38 of which did not need an introduction. There are 38 characters in the 5th game, but if you added all the pieces from previous games too, it'd probably rise even higher. This game, which has so often been likened to chess, now has far more pieces than a chessboard. Very well. I guess we'll get started. Let's have the person who called this meeting begin. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Goat. Mr. Grace of all time. Please refill my drink. And some popcorn for me? Right. The one who decided demons ought to eat popcorn when watching a play was you, after all. Well, we still need to introduce all the goats. We'd literally be there forever. They don't even have a named limit. I intend to enjoy this. Can I get some black tea and mustard miso as well? Erica, begin. I'm already starting to get bored. Yes, my master. Leave it to me. Order. Silence! At the sound of her voice, the Siestra Sisters chorus straightened up, tightened, lifted their right knees, and stamped down hard on the floor with their heels. Poor Goat-kun got skipped over, didn't get an introduction. I remember when Goat-kun was a minor character. He didn't have speaking lines, but he had a first-person perspective chapter. That was a thing. It became a low, deep rumble in the ground, and all the chatter in the cathedral disappeared instantly, as their eyes and expressions became even more hollow and empty. The room fell back into silence, almost as if they were a collection of waiting wax models. Did goat people die when they're killed as furniture? Seems like the furniture doesn't die. The normal furniture doesn't. Amidst this heavy silence, there was the sound of footsteps as Erica walked out into the center where she could catch everyone's attention. He didn't have speaking lines, but he had his dignity. He was a good man. He hated everyone and everything. Especially, apparently, Kraus? I think it was Kraus. When she signaled with her chin, a goat attendant appeared from behind a pillar and carried a single plain chair out into the front and center of the room. It must have been the defendant's chair. I, Furudo Erika, will make an accusation. The murder of the 5th game is... Hiromiya Natsuhi-san. Wait a minute, we saw this at the start of the chapter. The background was different, but here's the accusation. Alright. I'll take it. You are the culprit. Erika pointed at Natsuhi and spoke. The Natsuhi wax doll alone shook and regained its expression. It was an expression of panic. Siestra Sisters. Bring the defendant to their chair. Understood. We need that sprite art for the accusation. That could work. Wait, what are you doing? Let go of me. 45 and 410 pinned Natsuhi's arms behind her back and led her to the chair in the center. Natsuhi resisted, but the Siestra Sisters were surprisingly strong and she couldn't do anything. She turned to the relatives for help, but they remained silent like wax models. I, Furuto
なぜ
Erica.
後ろ宮夏日にだけ犯行が可能か再構築してご覧に入れます。
Reconstruct why the crime was only possible for Ushiromi and Natsuhi.
ベアト、
ベアト
もちろん受けるでしょ。
Of course, you'll be challenging this, right?
当然よ。
Naturally.
後ろ宮家顧問錬金術師黄金のベアトリーチェだ。
I am the Ushiromiya family alchemist, Beatrice the Golden.
フルドエリカ受けて立つぞ。
Bruto Erica, I challenge you! It's time to Oh wait, wrong series, sorry.
我が主に着せようと企むその濡れ衣。
I'll take these false accusations you're trying to place on my master
引き裂いてくれるわ。
and tear them apart.
ベアトリーチェ。
Beatrice.
安心せよな。
Fear not,
そな
Natsuhi.
たはわらわ
You're my
のアーチと
master.
して
And you're the true
心
head,
に片翼のわしを刻んだ真の当主よ。
the one with the one-winged eagle engraved in your
身に
heart.
覚えなき罪に怯
Do
え
not
る
fear
で
a
ない。
crime you haven't committed. At those words, Natsuhi jerked back and gulped. Her panic finally disappeared and she stood up straight.
そうですとも、私は後ろ宮夏日。
I'm Ushiromi
後ろ
Natsuhi.
宮家を冒涜
That's
する
confident.
あらゆる挑戦を受けて立ちましょ
I'll
う。
confront any challenge that would disgrace the Ushiromiya family.
どうしてこの
Giggle
状
from
況に
Burncastle.
そのような虚勢が張れるやら。
Can you try a bluff in a situation like this? Well, if charisma is your highest skill, if charisma is your highest stat, and bluff is your highest ranked skill, you may as well try it.
あなた、本当にどこのかけらでもいじめられっ子ね。
You really are the bullied kid in every single fragment? Well, don't lose to the bullied kid, Burncastle.
ではベルン、
But I gotta tell you, if you bully them enough, they might just bring a Glock to school.
主張
So,
どう
Vern,
ぞ。
make your claims.
ベルンカステルは主張するわ。
I, Burncastle,
このゲ
claim...
ームの犯人は人間。後ろ宮夏日。
I claim that a human, Ushiromiya Natsuhi, is the culprit of this game.
ベアトもどうぞ。
And you too, Beato? Okay.
ベアトリーチェは主張する。
I, Beatrice,
こ
claim
のゲームの犯人は人間にあらず。
the culprit in this game is not human.
わらわこそ犯人であるわ。
I am the culprit. Burncastle smiled daringly, and Beatrice, who smiled firmly, crossed gazes.
お聞きね、魔女ども、人間ども。
Okay, listen up, witches and
一
humans.
つの真実に二つの主張が現れたわ。
Two claims have appeared for a single truth.
犯人は人間、後ろ宮夏日か。
Is the culprit a human? Ushiromi Natsuhi?
犯人は魔女、ベアトリーチェか。
Is the culprit a witch, Beatrice?
魔女が勝て
I
ば、
almost said, is the
第
human
5
a
のゲームの
culprit?
真
That
相
would
は
have been a
闇
bit
に
wrong.
消える。
If the witch wins, the truth about the fifth game will disappear into
エリカ
darkness.
が勝てば、ゲーム版より魔女幻想は打ち滅ぼされる。
If Erica wins, the illusion of the witch will be wiped from the game board.
つまり、
In other words,
ベアトにとってのみ負けることの許されない勝負だけれど、覚悟は大丈夫？
for Beato alone, this is a battle that must not be lost. Are you prepared? Are you
何の
prepared?
覚悟が必要だというのか。
And just what am I preparing myself for? Well,
も
it's
と
very
より
question.
望むところよ。
It's always been just what I wanted. If Erica wins, the illusion of the witch will be destroyed. That means the existence of the witch will be denied. Beato is fighting for her life. However, this wasn't the only time she'd been fighting for her life. It had always been life or death, even when she fought with Battler, because if Battler won and destroyed the illusion of the witch in previous games, Beato had also been destroyed.
汚ねえな。
That's
エ
dirty.
リカのやつだけ負けても何も失わない。
Erica alone has nothing to lose if she fails.
それはどうでしょ
I
う。
wonder.
ベルンカステル教には情けの心がありません。
Lady Burncastle is not a compassionate
彼女
person.
は自分の望んだ活躍をしなかった駒に温かい処遇を与えるとは思え
I
ませ
can't
ん。
imagine she'd give warm treatment to a piece that didn't perform to her expectations. It was inconceivable that the ruthless Burncastle would place so much blame at all on a piece who suffered defeat. Erica was probably fighting for her life just as much, and the two claims would clash. One would be weeded out. One would fall and not leave this place alive. The only ones who truly had nothing to lose were those witches.
オッケー、問題ないわ。
Okay, no problem.
さあ、始めなさい。
それでは
In that case,
私から始めたいと思います。
I would like to go first.
秀吉さん殺しについては とてもシンプル。
The murder of Hideyoshi-san. It's
ナ
very
ツシさん
simple.
以外の方を疑うことは不可能なはずです。
It should be impossible to suspect anyone
私
other
た
than
ちは
Natsuhi-san.
被害者とナツシさんを
Except for the victim.
除いて
And
全員が同
Natsuhi-san.
じ部屋にいたじゃないですか。
All of us were in the same room, correct? It really was simple. Except for Natsuhi, everyone had been inside the parlor, and because it was so simple, it was decisive.
どう考えても秀吉を殺したのは夏日じゃないの。
No matter how you look at it, the one who killed Hideyoshi was
いいえ、
Natsuhi.
逆だわ。
Rather, it's the other way around.
どう考えても夏日以外に秀吉は殺せないじゃないの。
No matter how you look at it, no one except Natsuhi could have killed
議論も
Hideyoshi.
反論の
There's
余
no
地も
room.
ないわ。
No chance for discussion or debate.
ですから誤解です。
I'm telling you, it's a mistake.
確かに私にはアリバイがないかもしれ
I
ませ
may
ん。
have an
しか
alibi,
し
but
ア
I
リバ
don't
イが
mean,
ないことはすなわち犯人であるとの証拠にはならないはず。
I don't believe a lack of an alibi proves that one is the culprit.
夏日にだけアリバイがないのは分かった。
We know Natsuhi's the only one without an alibi.
だが待て。
Wait,
殺
but
害
wait.
現場は密室であったぞ。
The scene of the murder was a
夏
closed
日に
room.
限らず、誰であっても、あの部屋での犯行は不可能だったは
It
ず
should have been impossible for anyone, including Natsuhi, to have committed the crime in that room. What are you, dumb, Beato? Were you paying
魔
attention?
法で殺人が遂行できるわらわを除いてな。
Except for me, since I could have done it with magic.
密室トリックであるハウダ
Explain
ニ
the
ットに
closed
つ
room
いて
trick.
は
The
後で
how
説
done it
明し
later.
ます。とりあえず今はフーダニットから。
For the time being, I'll start with who done it.
よって以上に
Because
よ
of the
り
aforementioned,
秀吉
it's
さん殺しは
impossible.
夏志さん以外の人物を疑うのは不可能となるわけで
It's
す。
impossible to suspect any character except Natsuhi-san regarding the murder of Hideyoshi-san.
お嬢様、
Milady,
ここをさらに切り込むと危険かと。
maybe dangerous to press further on this.
同感だわ。
I
夏日
agree.
が秀吉の部屋のクローゼットに隠れていたのは事実。
It's a fact, Natsuhi was hiding in the closet of
復
Hideyoshi's
唱要
room.
求で所在の確認を行われると追い詰められるわ。
When it comes to repeating things in red, they'll check to see who was in the room and you'll be cornered.
であろうな。
Probably.
ゲームの支配者はラムダデルタ教だ。
Lambda Delta is the commander of
あ
this
や
game.
つが面白がれば事実に関係なく夏日が犯人ということで
If it
確
suits
定
her
されてし
fancy,
まう。
she'll set up Natsuhi as the culprit regardless of the facts. If the typhoon passes and the police come to perform a scientific investigation, perhaps the true culprit will be identified and the false accusations against Natsuhi will be lifted. However, in the closed-off rockin' gym of the police won't arrive for all eternity. Someone's got to make their own decisions, I guess. In other words, the real truth will not be revealed. Inside this cat box that will never be opened, false charges that everyone accepts are worth no more or less than the truth.
おそらく向こうの狙いはシンプルな秀吉殺しで夏日様が
Their
犯
aim
人
is
である
most
と
likely
の
to use the
印象
simple
を
murder of
確
Hideyoshi
定
to
させ
give the impression Natsuhi is the culprit. That seems pretty straightforward. I might consider doing that.
その上で不確定要素の多い第一の番の再構築に入るつ
Yeah.
もりでし
They're
ょう。
going to do that before they move on to the first Twilight's reconstruction, which is filled with more uncertainty.
ゲームマスターに疑われた状態での進行は最悪よ。
It's not as good at all to move forward with the Game Master suspecting us.
主導権を握るべきだわ
We。should take the initiative.
うん。
Here.
ラムダデルタ教
Lady
ご
Lambda
存
Delta.
知の通り第5のゲームでも多くの殺人が起き
As you know, a fair number of murders were committed during the fifth game.
深夜から早朝までの短からぬ時間をまたいでおる
We are skimping the rather lengthy chunk from the time from midnight until the early morning.
いきなり秀吉の殺人から始まり
Skipping to Hideyoshi's murder.
時間が行ったり来たりしてしまうようでは混乱してしまうとい
Stepping
う
backwards and forward in time will only lead to
こ
confusion.
こは時系列に従い順番に進めていくのが良いかと思うがいかが
It is my belief we should follow events chronologically and in order, through though the decision is yours, of course.
異議提出。犯
Objection.
人を告発する過程において時系列など意味をなさない。
In the process of prosecuting the culprit, chronological order has no significance.
異議提出
Object.
Kurudo
Counter
Erika.
objection.
時系列を混乱させることによって印象操作を行っている
Furudo Erica is trying to mess up chronological sequencing in order to create a false impression of events. Ooh, and a counter objection.
ああ、よくわかんないのは私もごめんだ
I'm not a
わ。
fan of confusing things myself. I am so glad that I control both sides of this board. I am both the judge and the and the defendant, so I can make these claims.
メアとの主張を認めるわ
I
よ。
accept Beato's claim. Of course. That's what she
エ
wants
リカ
in the
は
first place.
いきなり第2の番から始めないで
Erica,
第
start with the
1の
first
番から
Twilight
始めな
instead
さ
of
い。
jumping to the second. Alright then. I definitely saw Erica click her tongue. Shut the fuck up, Butler. I understand. So this is a way of telling Rockin' Jima's tale. I was guided by Virgilia, met Beatrice, reached the peak from which you can see everything below you, and finally understood the truth of this world.
これが以前にワルギリアが話してくれたことなんだな。
This is that thing you were talking about earlier, Virgilia.
ええ、そうですよ。
That's right.
ここでは真実など脆い。
Truth is very fragile in this place.
両者が主張する限り異なる真実が同時に存在できる。
As long as each side makes its own claim, different truths can exist at the same time. Yeah. It really is a trial. Both sides put forth their own truths. This here truly is the brown tube trial that Virgilia once used as an analogy.
ではラムダデルタ教のご命令に従い最初の第1の番の事件から話を始めます。
Then I shall follow Lady Lambda Delta's orders and start from the first crime at the first
ご
twilight.
存知の通り10月4日初日
As you
の
know,
24時
At 2400, on October 4th, the first day,
親族会議の小休止の後夏日さんは先に休むと一人退席しました。
following a short break in the family conference, Natsuhi left on her own, stating she was going to bed
よ
early.
ってその時刻から翌朝まで完全にアリバイは消失します。
Therefore, her alibi is completely absent from the time until the next morning. The culprit is Ishirami Natsuhi because she's the only one without an alibi. A good start, I suppose.
はてそうかな。
Is that so?
夏日以外にもアリバイの怪しい人物などいくらでもいるはず。
I believe there are several people besides Natsuhi with dubious alibis.
それら全員の疑いを晴らさぬ限り夏日を犯人呼ばわりさせるわけにはいかぬぞ。
What happened to the knock and the letter, Erica? It doesn't seem relevant. She's accusing them of being the murderer. And there's only one person who could be the murderer, so that's what she's going for, I think. A short resolution on a quick catch. Unless you can clear suspicion from all of them, I can't allow you to call Natsuhi the culprit. Well, that's what process of elimination is for, which... Oh, wait, you removed the ability to use process of elimination. We cannot conclude Natsuhi is the culprit as long as there's other people without alibis. Claim has been made that Natsuhi was the only one lacking an alibi between 2400 and 1 p.m. This is being used as a basis for claiming she's the culprit. However, as long as the following possibilities exist, it's impossible to conclude this is the case. This is a crime also possible for Battler, who is in the guest house, Nanja, who is in the guest house, Goda, who is in the guest house, Kumasawa, who is in the guest house, Genji, who is in the mansion, Kraus, who is in the mansion. Or was it possible for the people in the mansion besides Natsuhi? Was it possible for George and the others who are actually playing dead? Is it possible that there was a way to reach the second floor without passing through the lounge Erica was in? Is it possible when the crime was committed before 2400? Is it possible the crime was committed after 3 a.m.? Is it possible the crime was committed outside the time span of 2400 to 1 a.m.? Is it possible that someone in the mansion committed the crime between 2400 and 3 a.m.? That's a long list, as she said in one sentence.
確かに
True.
夏日が怪しいとそこまで言い張るなら
If Erica's going to call Natsuhi suspicious so
エ
confidently,
リカは夏日以外全員のアリバイを示してみせるべきだわ。
she's first got to show everyone else has an alibi.
ねえベル
Right, Bird?
ええ、無論よ。
Of course,
エ
of
リカ
course.
はそれを完全に説明しきるわ。
Erica will explain that perfectly. The culprit is Ishirama Natsuhi. We'll prove everyone else has an alibi.
当然です、我が主。
Of course, my master.
では、順にご説明していきたいと思います。
In that case, I'll explain things in order.
源氏殺しは一度忘れ、ゲストハウスの事件のみに
Let's
絞って
forget
進め
Genji's
ます。
murder. We'll focus on the crime in the
と
guest
な
house.
れば、 ゲストハウスにいた使用人を疑いたいですよね。
For this case, you'd like to suspect servants who were in the guest house,
あの
right?
晩はゴーダさんと熊沢さんがゲストハウスにおられまし
On
た。
that night, Goda and Kumasawa-san were there.
そうですね、お二方。
Isn't that right? When she turned to face the direction those two were seated, those two wax models alone came to life. They probably weren't even granted souls until they were allowed to speak. In that case, it would have been better if Natsuhi's soul could have disappeared as well. Natsuhi in the defendant's chair kept her soul the whole time and was constantly hanging her head, looking nervous. Goda hurried to his feet and answered Erika's question.
はい、そうです。
Yes, it's correct.
私はあの晩、一人でゲストハウスの使用人室におりました。
On that evening, I was alone in the guest house servant room.
私はこの老体ですからね。
Oh, look at my age.
夜は答えますから、ゲストハウスの控え室に戻って、
Staying up all night would be a heavy
お
burden.
先にすぐ休ませてもらいましたとも。
I returned to the waiting room in the guest house and went to bed right away on my own. Yes, yes.
ではゴーダと熊沢もアリバイを失うではありませんか。
Doesn't that mean they've lost their
一
alibis?
人で控え室で休んでいたと自称する熊沢、
Umisawa claims he was alone in the waiting
一
room.
人で使用人室にいたと自称するゴーダ、
Goda claims he was alone in the servant
そ
room.
のどちらにもいとこ部屋へ行き殺人を行う余地があるはずです。
Either of them should have had enough time to go to the cousin room and commit murder.
めっそうもない。
Nonsense.
どうしてそんなことを私たちが。
Why would we do that?
そうですともそうですとも。
Right, right.
人殺しなんてそんなとんでもないことで
How
す。
could I ever kill someone? I mean, it was done with like a knife. We cannot conclude Natsuhi is the culprit. After all, the crime was possible for Goda and Kumasawa, who are also in the guest house.
夏日がすべて語っておるわ。
Natsuhi said it all.
控え室で一人眠った熊沢も、使用人室に一人こもったゴーダも、
Both Kumasawa, who was asleep alone in the waiting room, and Goda, who was alone in the
寝
servant room.
室の夏日と何も変わらぬ。
They're in the same situation as Natsuhi in her
ど
room.
ちらもアリバイを失うではないか。
Both of them have lost their alibis.
ご安心を。
Have
こ
no
の
fear.
二人は殺人犯ではないと
I
私が保
guarantee
証し
neither
ま
of
す。
them are murderers.
まず熊沢さんは晩餐後、私たちと一緒に屋敷を出てゲストハウスへ
First
行
off,
き、
following dinner, Kumasawa-san left the mansion with me and the others and went to the guest house. Okay. Kumasawa went to guest house. Got it.
そのまま控え室に入り、朝まで眠っていました。
She entered the waiting room and slept until morning. Okay.
ゴーダさんも同じです。
It's the same for
事
Goda.
務作業を終え、その後に私たちとラウンジで談笑して、それを終えてから休みました。
Once he finished with his job, he chatted with us in the lounge and went to sleep afterwards.
両名とも殺人を行う余地はありません。
Neither had the opportunity to commit murder. That's not really
い
evidence.
よいよ来たな。
We're finally here.
それではわらわも腰を上げるとしよ
I see it's time for me to stand
う。
up
も
as
は
well.
やそなたの出番は終わりだ、エリカ。
Your turn is over already,
そなた
Erica.
の頼れる用心棒を呼び出すがいい。
Go summon that bodyguard you rely on so much. Beto glanced toward Delanor's stat on the second floor audience seating, but Delanor just stared back with those usual expressionless eyes.
復唱要求。
Repeat.
ゴーダと熊沢のアリバイについて完全な証拠がある。
We have absolute proof of Goda and Kumasawa's alibis.
復唱拒否。
We refuse.
なんで敵にヒントを
Why give a hint to an
答える
enemy?
わけもない。
There's no way we'd answer.
お聞きから無駄デルタ教。
Did you hear that, Lambda Delta?
証拠はないそうだぞ。
They say they have no
証
proof.
拠もなく、ゴーダと熊沢のアリバイを主張しても良いものなのか。
How could they claim Goda and Kumasawa have alibis without proof?
通りだわ。
Good point.
どうなのよ、ベルン、エリカ。
What do you say, Burn? Remember, Lambda Delta is puppeting everyone who isn't Burn, Castell, and Erica right now, right? What do you say, Burn?
どう
Erica?
してゴーダと熊沢のアリバイを主張できるわけ？
How can you claim that Goda and Kumasawa have alibis?
引っ込めエリカ。
Fall back, Erica. Oh?
わらわの相手はそこのドラノールよ。
My opponent is Delanor over there.
貴様ごとき人間に魔女の相手は務まらぬわ。
A mere human like you can be no match for a witch? Alright.
いいえ、
No.
ドラノールの出番は必要ありません。
There's no need for
あ
Delano.
なたの言う人間ごときが魔女を打ち破るからこそ魔女幻想が否定されるのです。
In fact, it's precisely because a mere human would defeat a witch that the illusion of the witch will now be denied.
ならばどうぞ。
So go
赤
ahead.
で青でお好きなように。
Use red and blue as much as you like.
受けて立ちますよ。
I'm ready for it, okay? Delano's only there for rule violations. In response to Erica's challenge, Beato smiled boldly yet gracefully and slowly stood up. They glared at each other between the floor and the balcony.
ゴーダにも熊沢にもそれぞれアリバイがない。
Yoda and Kumasawa have no alibis.
二人はゲストハウスにおり、いつでもいとこ部屋へいたり、犯行を行うことができた。
The two of them were in the guest house and could have reached the cousin room to commit murder at
そ
any
れが
time.
否定できぬ限り、夏日を犯人呼ばわりすることなどできぬぞ。
Unless you can deny the possibility you cannot treat Natsuhi as the culprit. Beato's blue truth struck out rapidly and didn't sound like gunfire. Interesting. A curtain had finally dropped and the battle had begun.
人間であるエリカに使える赤はない。
A human like Erica can't use the
ド
red.
ラノールを呼ばずにどう切り返してみせると？
How did she turn this around without calling Delanor?
エリカに使えずともその主のベルンカステル教は使えます。
Though Erica cannot use it, her master Lady Berncastel
油
can.
断はできませんぞ。
We mustn't let our guards down.
青き真実有効だわ。
Bluetooth valid.
どうするのベル？
What will you do, Bern?
あんたかドラノールが相手を変わる？
Do you or Delanor step in instead?
まだ私の出番ではありませ
It
ん。
is still not my turn.
そしてベルンカステル教の出番でもありません。
And it is not Lady Berncastel's turn either.
ええ、そうよ。
That's right.
この程度じゃ私たちの出番にはならないわ。
There's no need for us to show up for something like
フ
this.
ルドエリカというただの人間風情がベアトを打ち破ってこそ意
It's
味がある
important
のよ。
precisely because a mere human like Furuto Erica will beat you, Beato.
人間に打ち破られてこそわかるわ。
Because of you'll be defeated by a human will know.
黄金のベアトリーチェなどとのたまう偽りの魔女が人間以下の幻に過ぎなかったとね。
We'll all know that the fake witch who calls herself Beatrice the Golden is nothing more than a subhuman phantom.
それが本当にできるなら最高に面白いんだけどね。
If you're really gonna do that, it'd be totally entertaining. Very interesting, wouldn't it? Very well,
受け
Erica.
て立ちなさい。
Let's see what we got.
まず熊沢さんですが、とてもシンプルな話です。
Explaining it for the first person, Kumasawa-san is extremely
熊
simple.
沢さん、ご起立を。
Kumasawa-san, stand.
はい。
Yes.
熊沢さんは昨夜就寝されてから
Kumasawa-san, from the time you went to bed last night to the time you were informed about the crime in the
朝
morning,
事件を知らされるまで
did
一
you
度
ever
でも
leave
控
the
室を
waiting
出
room?
ましたか？
いいえ、
No, no.
朝までぐっすりでしたとも。ええ。
I was sound asleep. I really was.
私、実
The truth
は
is,
昨夜の晩餐の後にエヴァさんと談笑していて、面白い話を聞かせてもらって
after
いた
dinner
ん
last
です。
night, I had a chat with Ava-san, and she told me something very
それ
interesting.
を試させてもらいました。
I tried it myself.
それとは何か？
What is that?
まさか。
You don't mean
そうです。
it's the lolly supremacy arc? All the lollies are in charge?
金蔵を支配に追い詰め、封じたもの。
Including Battler? Is Battler a lolly now too? That's right. It's what cornered and sealed Kinzo in his
扉に
study.
物を挟むことで封印できることを私は知ったのです。
I learned you can create a seal by putting something between a door and a frame.
なんだと
Are you kidding?
あいつ
Did she
まさ
actually
かそ
do
れ
that?
を熊沢さんの控室に
Kumasawa-san's waiting room?
エリカはゲストハウスにいたのですから、それができたとしても何も問題はありませ
Erica
ん。
was in the guest house. There's no obstacle to her having been capable of that.
何しろ莫大な黄金が発見されて、どんな事件が起こってもおかしくない不気味な
After all,
夜
it
で
was
し
an unsettling night, and a massive amount of gold had just been discovered.
た。探偵あるところ、事件あり。
Any number of crimes might have occurred.
私は何かの事件が起こることを予見して、
And where there's the detective, there will be a
あらかじ
crime.
めアリバイを失いそうな人物に、これで 封印をさせていただいたのです。
I foresaw some kind of crime would take place.
私はこれを一緒にゲストハウスに戻った熊沢さんが休むと言って
Use this
控
to
室に
seal
入
away
ったのを
people
見届け
whose alibis might otherwise be lost. Holy shit, that was an essay. Erica held a small folded piece of brown paper high in the air.
これを使って扉を封印したのです。
After I watched Kumasawa-san, who returned to the guest house with me, say goodnight and enter the
そ
waiting
し
room.
て朝
I used this to
事
seal the
件が
door.
発覚し大騒
And
ぎ
then in
に
the
なっ
morning?
た。そして封印が健在であることを確認しました。
When the crime was discovered and caused a big uproar, I immediately went to check
以
Kumasawa-san's
上
waiting room.
により
I
私は
confirm.
熊沢さんのアリバイを証明できます。
The seal was still set. Therefore, I can prove Kumasawa-san's alibi. Kumasawa has an alibi. Ooh. And out goes one of these. One of the lights goes dark. Alright.
グッド
Good.
素晴らしいアリバイだわ。一部の隙もない。
A wonderful alibi, not a single gap.
熊沢はエリカと共にゲストハウスに戻り
Going out the window is a gap. Come on, Burn Castel. Don't get burned by the
朝
same
まで
thing
部屋を出
twice.
ることはなかった。
Kumasawa returned to the guest house with Erica, went to the waiting room to sleep, and left the room until morning. Now, there may not be windows in that room, but still. It's a ground floor room. Going out the window is possible.
つまり熊沢はゲストハウスへ戻って以降朝まで2階に上がっていない。
In other words, after Kumasawa returned to the guest house, she never went to the second floor until morning. The proof Erica had shown was elevated by Burn Castel and became red truth. This truth, which became red, could no longer be overturned, even by Beato. In other words, in that instant, Kumasawa's perfect alibi had been absolutely guaranteed.
ほほう。ならばゴーダについてはどうか。
What about Goda?
郷田さんもゲストハウス到着後はすぐに使用人室
Well, you
に
see,
込められ
Goda,
まし
he
た。
holed up in the servant room right after reaching the guest
そ
house.
して同様にこれで封印させていた
I
だきま
sealed
した。
him in the same way.
そしてローザさんが午前1時にお戻りになった時は
And
た
then,
またま廊下に出た私が
when
気づき
Rosa-san returned at 1 a.m., I happened to notice her when I stepped out of the corridor. Into the
使
corridor.
用人室の郷田さんにそれを伝えたのです。
I let Goda-san, who was still in the servant room, know this.
その時封印は健在でしたのでゲストハウスに到着してから午前1時まで
At that time, the seal was still in place, so from the time we arrived at the guest house until 1
郷田
a.m.,
さんは使用人室を出ていません。
Goda never left the servant room.
そしてその後はラウンジで午前3時まで私と一緒にいました。
Afterwards, he was with me in the lounge until 3
そして
a.m.
午前3時以降は私は2階にいましたので
And after 3 a.m., I was on the second floor.
郷田さんが2階に上がってこないことを保証できます。
So, I can guarantee Goda-san didn't come up to the second floor.
エリカの封印がゴーダが午前1時まで使用人室にこもっていたことを証明するわ。
Erica's seal proves Goda was holed up in the servant room until 1
そして
a.m.
午前3時までのアリバイを
Erica has proven his alibi
一
from
緒
1 till
にラウン
3.
ジで過ごしたエリカが証明するわ。
Since she was passing time in the lounge with him.
そして
Ooh,
そ
very
れ以降
solid.
の朝までに2階へ一切立ち入ってないことも
Erica's also proven he never
エリ
set
カが
foot
証明するわ。
on the second floor until the morning after.
つまりゴーダはゲストハウスへ戻って以降朝まで
words-
2階に上がっていない。
After Goda returned to the guest house, he never went to the second floor until morning. Goda has an alibi. Well, that's 2 down. A lot to go. Still, that's progress, right? We have non-Joe battler Genji, Kroos, other people in the mansion. We got a lot of things to cross off.
赤き真実有効だわ。
Red truth valid. Red truth is always valid. What are you smoking, Limbo?
お見事よエリカ。
Unless you're implying that red truth can be invalid, because she spoke it, it has to be true. Well done,
あんたの
Erica.
その扉の封印によるアリバイがベルンに認められて赤き真実に昇華されたわ。
The alibi due to your seal in the door has been acknowledged by Byrne and elevated to the status of red truth.
ありがとうございます、我が主。
Thank you very much, my master.
我こそは探偵。人間でありながら赤き真実を行使することのできる人間を超えし者。
Thank you very much, my master. I am the detective. I may be human, but I can use the red truth despite that and surpass humans.
人間を超えただと。
And now you claim to have surpassed humans? No one said Erica was humble.
この思い上がりめ、
Battler's red truth was invalid in chapter 4, being Asumu's son. He was unable to say it. He could not get out the sentence. He attempted to say that he was Asumu's son, and he failed. The truth was not invalid. He simply couldn't state it using red truth, as he couldn't say it. He wasn't able to say the red truth, or Asumu's son. Right? He choked on it. That's the point. If you can't say truth that isn't red in this setting. If you can, that would make red truth questionable, which everyone says is against the point. He was unable to say it, at which point he doesn't have an answer for it, because he wasn't able to comprehend adoption or people cheating or anything like that. You claim to have surpassed humans now. Well, it's 1,000 years too early for you to talk like that, conceited brat. Alright, what do you got for us?
おかしな追求があると面倒なので、先にはっきりさせます。
It'll be a pain to have you try anything funny, so I'll make this clear now.
というか、むしろこれは最初にするべきでした。
I should have done this in the beginning.
前後したことをお詫びします。
I apologize for being so random.
24時の時点でのゲストハウスの状況です。
This is the situation around the guest house at 2400.
黄金が発見され、緊急の親族会議になり、バトラさんと親族たちは屋敷へ。
The gold was found. An emergency family meeting was called for. The battler's son went to the mansion with a
ゲスト
relative.
ハウスには私といとこ3人、南條先生、郷田さん、熊沢さんが残りました。
I, the three cousins, Dr. Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa remained in the guest house.
郷田さん、熊沢さんのアリバイについてはすでにご説明の
I've already
通り、
explained Goda and Kumasawa-san's
ジョー
alibis.
ジさん、ジェシカさん、マリアさんの3人はいとこ部屋でトランプで遊んでいました。
George-san, Jessica-san, and Maria-san were playing cards in the cousin
実
room.
は私、ほんの少しだけ混ぜていただきましたので、この時刻に生存していたのをはっきり確認
I
しています。
actually joined them for a time and clearly witnessed they were alive at that time.
我が主、以上の復唱を
Master,
要求
I
しま
asked you
す。
repeat this.
応じるわ。
I'll respond.
ゲストハウスには24時の時点でジョージ、ジェシカ、マリアは生存していて、
At 2400 in the guest house, George, Jessica, and Mario were
2
alive.
階のいとこ部屋にいた。
And in the second floor cousin room,
南條、郷田、熊沢は1階にいた。
Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa were on the first floor.
あと、もうもったいぶることないから、
And since there's no need to hold off on it
これ
anymore,
までに出ている犠牲者の死亡も確定させとくわね。
I'll confirm that the victims so far are
ジ
dead.
ョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、ゲンジの5人はちゃんと死んでるわよ。
George, Jessica, Mario, Rosa, and Genji really are dead.
あのばっくりいった首で死んだふりなんてできるわけないでしょ。
How could they be playing dead with their necks sliced open like that? The magic of suspended animation. Fantasy tier. No murder occurred before midnight. Okay. We guaranteed George's group is dead. Yep. They weren't playing dead. Good. And it wasn't committed before 2400. Thank you, my master, for repeating it.
これをはっきりさせないと、私がアリバイを保証した以前の段階ですでに殺されていたとか。
You might have, if I didn't make these things clear, you might have started going on about how they were already dead before I guaranteed everyone's alibis.
実は死んでなかったとか、
Or that they weren't
いろいろ
actually
言わ
dead
れ
at
かね
all.
ませんので。
Copium is real. Sorry, Beto. It's gonna be a tough one. Unsurprisingly, Beto's side couldn't get away with the simple plan of claiming the victims were only playing dead. But in order to overcome Goda and Kumasawa's alibis, it should have been possible to suppose the crime occurred before the doors were sealed. Whoever the opponent predicted this move perfectly, and it's been shown in red, the crime didn't occur before the time period covered by the alibis.
そうそう。
You like the UI of the alternative explanations and being eliminated one at a time? It is kind of nice to have the list and know that we're slowly progressing through the list. Now that I'm in the answers arc, what have I figured out? I mean, I already had this presupposition that the murderer was probably changing. And it seems even clearer now that the murderer is definitively changing from time to time. I have, like, a slightly more concrete idea about the answer to the riddle, but it's still unclear. And it's like I'd have to actually sit down and do like a bunch of annoying research to maybe come up with a clue, which is not amazing and not something I'm really willing to do. If I wanted to come up with like an idea of like what town they're referring to and guess at its name or some shit. I'm not sure what else I'm supposed to have figured out. Like the murders seem relatively independent. I mean, I feel like I figured out even if they introduce this mysterious phone caller guy, he's probably not going to be the killer because it wouldn't make sense for them to introduce the killer in Arc 6 or late in Arc 5. This late in Arc 5. Otherwise, it would kind of defeat the purpose of the mystery, as he's always got to have been. The murderer's always got to be someone you could have nominated from the beginning. And since Mystery Color only showed up in Arc 5, he can't be the killer. So, like, anything that involves him is kind of anything that involves accusing him would be a waste of my time. That is to say, if I accused him, I would be wasting my time. So, we're looking at, like, the limited list of people who are on the island. I guess it's obviously been proven that Kinzo is permadead. So Kinzo's not going to be guilty. What's the nature of these game boards? How are the different murders done in any given game board? Who is Beatrice? Okay. How are the different murders done in any given game board? A few of them have been cleared up. A few of them have been cleared up in some way, shape, and form. Who Beatrice is supposed to be, I'm not entirely clear on. Assuming you mean like the person who handed Mari the letter in several of the starting arcs. I'm not quite sure who that could be yet. Is it I don't even know if it's the person who is the killer in each arc. It could be like literally anybody. How the murder. You must solve the biggest mystery. Where did the small bombs come from? I thought that one was obvious. Goda accidentally substituted cherry tomatoes for small bombs and nobody noticed. Got it. That's the last time the victims were confirmed to be alive. I wish you'd said that in the beginning. This means we can ignore everything that happened before 2400 hours. To go even further.
24時の時点で屋敷の2階廊下には夏日とクラウス、源氏がいたわ。
At 2400, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji were in a corridor on the second floor of the mansion. Note that this is not Berncastel giving us new information. This was actually part of the letter argument. So it's not new information. You disagree would need to be at least medieval.
残りは全員親族会議の食堂よ。
All her meeting people were at the family conference in the dining hall.
もちろん、この時点ではまだ殺人は起こってない。
Of course, at that point in time, no murder had occurred.
源氏も健在よ。
Genji was also alive. We confirm those thought to be inside the mansion at 2400 were indeed inside the mansion. Addendum, it's been shown none of them left the mansion before 1 o'clock, excluding Natsuhi. This is based off of the argument with the paper, by the way. That wasn't like new information. This isn't something Erica observed. But we can't move the game forward without settling it. I'll acknowledge that red truth. You better acknowledge it. We already had that argument. We already had that argument with the fucking letters. We were just using the same argument from the same arc. Thank you very much for that red truth, my master. Since Erica had been in the guest house, it was only natural she could explain the situation there. However, since she hadn't been in the mansion at the time... Hey, what's up, my dude? explaining the situation over there would have been extremely difficult for her. Beato would normally have attacked there with the blue truth, saying that people in the dining hall had all agreed to keep the same story, that someone had snuck out of the dining hall and they might have committed murder in the guest house. Unfortunately, you shot yourself in the foot with the whole letter incident. However, because Byrne instantly settled the matter with the red text, Beato lost her chance to strike back.
Honore.
Damn it.
厄介ですな。
Very troublesome.
これほどまでに不利とは。
I think we do put at such a disadvantage. But think of look at these great, purple walls. They look really nice. Are those viewports into the abyss? Or is that actually something inside the columns? Or perhaps purple paintings being hung up literally everywhere in this building?
これじゃまるでかつてのリーチェとバトラの戦いが逆になったみたいね。
It's almost the exact opposite of Riche's fights with Battler.
いや、その時よりもさらに状況は悪いかと。
The situation might be even worse than it was back then. At a glance, the fight between the two of them resembled our previous fights. However, there were some vital differences. The first was whether or not Beato was the game master. The Beato who fought against me was the game master, so she knew all the truth. That's why she was able to use red text at will. However, the current Beato isn't game master. She's just a single piece on the game board. And in other words, even Beato doesn't know the truth, so you could say that Beato is now in the same position I once was. Sucks to be you. Also, although Erica may seem to be in the same position I once was, the situation for her is totally different. She's connected to the witch called Byrne Castell. Even though she isn't the game master, she's capable of elevating Erica's statements to become red truth. Because of this, Erica can use the red truth even though she's neither a witch nor the game master. I don't understand this rule. Sorry, she says even though she's no longer a witch nor the game master. It doesn't matter. Battler was able to use red truth and blue truth, and he's neither a witch nor the game master either. Like, how the fuck is this still relevant? Don't even bother saying this shit, Battler. Fuck off. Beato, who's supposed to be the witch, possesses no truth nor red she can use, and yet the detective Erica can use the red truth. I don't understand this rule that it's been brought up multiple times, but we've seen Battler use both of them. So he's a witch? No, but he's able to use red truth, so... Yeah, it's more like whoever is in a position to know the absolute truth would know the truth, but then there's also some statements that seem to be like arbitrarily proven, like when Battler said he was said he was his mother's daughter and he couldn't say it because the red truth wouldn't let him say it, which means even though he was in the position to know the truth and didn't know the truth, he was actually able to, the red truth was actually able to override his own knowledge with the absolute truth because he was in the position where he should have known the truth. Yeah, advantage is flipped completely over to the other side. Perhaps you could say the current Beato is in a much worse position than I was when I fought her. After I got used to the game, Beato stopped responding to my demands. She used the red, but in the beginning she had responded to almost all of them, giving me many hints. That's why we were able to fight on par. However, Byrne Castell is different. She fully understands the rules of this game and is prepared to corner Beato without even a hint of restraint. Because of this, I knew. In the past, Beato went easy on me so we could fight on par with each other. I mean, this Beatrice already knows the rules too, so it's not like she needs someone to go easy on her. It's become quite an interesting fight. I see. So I must fight from the position Battler once stood in.
Beato.
Beato. In the past, I insulted you and called you incompetent. I can handle much, much worse than this. It's now impossible to suspect Gouda and Kumasawa. You can't win by arguing that point any further. True. New approach. Next in line is probably Nanjo. He's also in the guest house.
南條は確か ラウンジでエリカと一緒だったわ。
Nanjo was in the lounge with
しか
Erica.
し、その前後の時間帯が空
But I
白になるは
believe
ず。
the time periods before and after that have been left open.
そうだな、そこをつく。
I'll strike there.
南條、
Nanjo.
そなたは確かエリカとゴーダと一緒にゲストハウス1階のラウンジでくつろいでいたのだったな。
You were relaxing in the first floor of the lounge of the guest house with Erica and Goda, correct? Was the crime also plausible for Nanjo, who's in the guest house? Is Nanjo the killer? Is the doctor the
は
killer?
い。
Yes.
私はエリカさんとずっとご一緒でした。
I was with Erica the whole time. Metapieces can only claim truths they know to be true. Battler should be able to corroborate who his parents are. That's why he was able to use that truth, or in that case, not use it. He should be able to corroborate. If your parents never told you that you were adopted, and you didn't have a hint that you weren't, how would you know? So I was with Erica the whole time. Alright, and what time was this?
午前1時から午前3時までです。
1 a.m. to 3 a.m. That gives you the window 12 to 1 and 3 onwards.
そうです。
That's right.
午前1時から午前3時までの間、
It was the period between 1 and 3.
私と南條先生、合田さんの3人はラウンジでくつろいでいました。
Dr. Nanjo, Goda, and I were relaxing in the lounge. Alright, so the question is, did Dr. Nanjo brutally murder 3 to 4 people and then hang out with you in the lounge?
我が主、
Wait, what time did...
復讐要求です。
What time did... I think... Was it 1 o'clock when Battler returned or 1 o'clock when Rosa-san returned? Dr. Nanjo, Goda, and I were relaxing in the lounge. Repeat it, my master. Don't spam the red. Furuto Erica, you're giving away so much red.
応じるわ。
I'll
午
respond.
前1時から午前3時までエリカ、南條、ゴーダの3人は
From 1 to 3 a.m., Erica, Nanjo, and Goda
ゲストハウス1階
spent
の
their
ラ
time
ウン
on,
ジで
in
過
the
ご
lounge
し
on the
た。
first floor of the guest house. Why is she giving away so... I guess she has to prove all these things, but man, that's a lot of red to give away. Yeah, Rosa at 1, Battler at 3. Okay. Though she flat out refused to repeat what Beato told her to, she responded to Erica's demand immediately. The red truth was starting to corner Beato. She grimaced as though in pain, but struck back with the blue truth, or perhaps she really was in pain. Now that the characters, apart from Natsuhi, had their alibis established, the illusion of the witch was being denied. If Beato perceived the denial of her existence as pain...
ならば、ラウンジで過ごした時間帯の前後はアリバイがないはず。
As I said about 2 seconds ago, even so, he shouldn't have an alibi for the time period before and after you were in the lounge.
南條にも犯行は可能であるぞ。
It was possible for Nanjo to commit the crime too.
そうね。
That's
南
right.
條がラウンジでエリカと一緒に1時から3時までいたことは分かっ
I
たけ
get
ど、
that Nanjo was in the lounge
そ
with
れ以前
Erica
とそれ以後はどうなのかしらね。
from 1 to 3. But what about before and
ど
after?
うエリカ。
But that, Erica.
はい。
Yeah.
まず午前1時以前のアリバイ。
First, the alibi from before 1
これは
a.m.
全く問題ありま
It's
せん。
no problem.
私が24時までいとこ部屋でトランプで一緒に遊んでおり、
I played cards with the cousins in their room until midnight.
それからラウンジに降りて、そこで南條先生とお会いしたからです。
Then I went downstairs to the lounge where I met Dr. Nanjo.
そうでしたな。
Right.
24時に降りてきたエリカさんとお会いして少しお話をしていましたら、かなりのミステリー通だと分かりまして。
At 2400, I met Erica after she came down the stairs and spoke with her, learning she was quite the connoisseur of the mystery
すっ
genre.
かり意気投合してしまい。
I realized I'd found a kindred spirit. Oh, Nanjo's a big fan of mystery novels too? Damn, alright.
私、碑文の謎解きで書庫に入った時、
I went into the library to solve the
海
epitaph's
外の
riddle.
名作ミステリーの原書が多数保管されているのを見ていました。
I noticed there were several original copies of famous foreign mystery
で
novels
すの
stored
で
there.
それらを手に取りながらぜひ議論がしたくなりまし
I
た。
wanted to discuss them with the actual books in
私た
hand.
ちは書庫に移り、ずっとおしゃべりをしていました。
We moved to the library and were talking the whole time.
ラウンジに場所を移すまでずっとです。
Until we moved to the lounge. Doesn't that mean there's no coverage from 12 midnight to... Or no, what time did... Oh, Goda was in his room until 1 a.m. Never mind. Okay. Goda was in the room until 1 a.m. when Rosa returned, right? Cramped though it was, that book storage room in the guest house was stocked well enough it was fair to call it a small library. In it were several famous foreign mystery novels Kinzo once took a liking to. Of course, they were all originals and in English, but English is no problem for either Erika nor Nanjo. For this occasion, they borrowed the key to the library one more time from Goda in the servant room. At that point, Erika checked the seal again and of course reset it. Damn her. Right, Nanjo's covered for. Even though she keeps it sealed for anyone else to enter or leave, she alone enters and leaves when she wants.
なるほど。
I
つ
see.
まり24時から就寝する午前3時までの間、ずっと南條と一緒だったわけね。
So from midnight till 3 a.m. when you went to sleep, you were with Nanjo the whole time?
なら南條のアリバイは一番盤石ということになるわ。
Means Nanjo's alibi is the most rock solid of all. I have questions. Does nobody go to the bathroom in this setting? I swear to God, there's got to be like a 5-minute break where you didn't know where they were because they stepped out of the room to go to the bathroom, right? I don't know if that's enough time to kill anyone, but I always question it when people are talking with these alibis and they're like, I was with him all day. And I'm like, were you out of their sight for literally 2 minutes? Nope, we were together the whole time. I'm like, you followed them to the bathroom. Alright. Weird. That's it. That's it, exactly.
我が主、復唱要求です。
Master, repeat it.
応じるわ。
I'll respond.
24時以降、エリカは午前3時までずっと南條と一緒にいたわ。
After midnight, Erika was with Nanjo the whole time until 3 a.m. At 2400, the crime in the cousin room still hadn't occurred. This way an alibi was established for the period before the time they were in the lounge.
その後、私たちは午前1時に書庫から廊下へ出ます。
After that, we walked out of the library and into the hallway at 1
する
a.m.
と偶然、お戻りになられたローザさんと鉢合
When
わ
we
せに
did,
なり
we
ました。
just so happened to bump into Rosa as she returned.
そして私がゴーダさんにそれを教えました。
Then I told Goda about
客
that.
人を出迎えるのは使用人の役目だろうと思いまし
I
た。
figured it was probably a servant's responsibility to welcome in a guest. Goda asked if he should bring a towel, but Rosa refused. She quickly headed up to the second floor. At this point, Erika, Goda, and Nanjo gathered together and decided to have a drink. Their alibis in the lounge up to 3 have already been proclaimed in red, so there's no problems there. Yep, okay.
続きまして、午前3時以降。
On to after 3 a.m. Alright.
お開きになった後の南條先生のアリバイです。
This is Nanjo's alibi after we split up.
午前3時にバトラさんがお戻りになり、ラウンジは解散。
At 3 a.m., Battler returned and the people in the lounge went their separate ways.
私と南條先生、バトラさんの3人は2階へ上がりました。
Dr. Nanjo, Battler, and I went up to the
そ
second
して
floor.
南條先生はお休みに。
I said goodnight to
そ
Dr.
の
Nanjo.
際、もちろん先生のお部屋の扉にも封印をさせてい
At
ただ
this
きま
time,
し
I,
た
of。course, put a seal on the door to the doctor's room as well.
あとは事件発覚まで同じです。
And it went unchanged until the crime was discovered.
私はバトラさんの悲鳴と同時に部屋を飛び出し、
I flew out of my room at the same time as Battler's
南
scream
條先生の部屋の扉に封印
and
が
checked.
されていることを
I
確
saw the
認
door
し
to
まし
Dr.
た。
Nanjo's room was still
よ
sealed.
って南條先生のアリバイは午前1時以前、午前
Therefore,
3時
Dr.
以
Nanjo's
降
alibi
ともに完璧なのです。
is perfect before 1 a.m. and after 3 a.m. Nanjo has an alibi. Alright, Nanjo's set. It's a good thing she puts papers in everyone's fucking door. Holy shit. Alright, Genji, Kraus, everyone else in the mansion besides Natsuhi. We got a ways to go on this one. But at least they're axing all the possibilities as fast as they
エリ
can.
カ、
Splendid,
あな
Erika.
たの封印も赤き真実も完璧よ。
Both your seal and red truth are
南
perfect.
條は午前3時までエリカと一緒にいたというアリバイがある。
Nanjo has the alibi of being with Erika until 3
そして
a.m.
午前3時から朝まで自室を出て
There we go. Didn't leave his room until after 3 a.m. Or after 3 a.m. until morning. Okay. Erika made use of the seals on the doors and was granted red truths from Berncastel one after the other. For me, demanding that Beto repeat something had been about maneuvering and tactics, but it's different for Erika. For her, it's like having a trump card that can make red whenever she wants.
これで ゲストハウスの容疑者全員のアリバイ証明を終えました。
This concludes the proof of alibis for all suspects in the
問
guest
題
house.
はありませんね。
Problems?
問題はあるぞ。
You do have a
それは
problem.
だな。
And it's,
その
Beato racked her brains to find some point to latch onto, but Erica's red was ruthless and perfect. There was no point she could take issue with. Beato kept thinking hard, trying to fault Erica on something. But her expression was wrought with the desperation, and anyone could tell by looking.
ベアトを却下するわ。
Beato's complaint
私は何も問
rejected.
題を感じない。
I can't sense any problems at all.
極めてポップでキュートでパーフェクトだわ。
It's totally pop cute and perfect.
これでゲストハウスの人間全員のアリバイは証明された。
Alibis for all humans in the guest house have now been proven.
待ちな
Beato's incompetent.
エリカ
I think Erica's just trying harder and knows a bit more than Battler did. So it's a lot harder to work around her when she's doing some things that are like already solved. Wait a second,
俺
Erica.
を抜く気か
Are you trying to leave me out of this?
後宮バトラにだって犯行のチャンスはあるはずだ
Ushiromiya Battler also should have had a chance to commit the crime.
何しろ犠牲者たちと同じ部屋で一夜を共に
After
した
all,
ん
I
だ
was in the same room as the victims all night.
その俺を差し置いて議論を先になんか進ませねえ
Fuck off, Battler! Gods! Battler, like, just go to your fucking room. Holy shit, dude. I don't care. Just get out of here. Alright, whatever. So he says, I was in the same room as the victims. I'm not going to let you skip out this pack this part and while ignoring me. He wants her to prove that he's not the killer. Okay. At that time, an arrow twisted like a golden snake and hit me. It didn't pierce me, but it slapped me hard on the cheek like a whip. Battler attempting to throw as hard as possible by team killing. However, I think the point is that Battler can't be guilty just like the detective can't be guilty. Battler's the protagonist and has been stated to not be guilty, and the detective has been stated to not be guilty.
バトラ様の発言権はまだ認められておりません。
Battler-sama, your right to speak has not yet been
ご
recognized.
注意を。
Be warned. I understand, Battler.
そしてすまぬ。許せ。
My apologies. Forgive me.
エリカ。
Erica.
まだバトラのアリバイを示していないぞ。
You still haven't shown an alibi for Battler. Yeah,
バト
okay.
ラは犠牲者たちと枕を並べて眠った男。
Battler is the man who was sleeping alongside the victims.
誰よりも一番に疑わなければならぬのではないのか。
Shouldn't he be placed under more suspicion than anyone else? Well, you see, he's like the protagonist, so he's probably not guilty by default, but okay. Because I believe he's been stated to not be guilty, but alright. Was the crime possible for Battler who was in the guest house?
ベアトの言う通りだわ。
Beatrice said forgive me. Beatrice is falling for Battler. The object of affection falling for her simps. Beato's
ダメ
right.
じゃないよね。バトラを
You
飛
can't
ば
go
しちゃ
killing Battler like that. Yeah, and isn't Battler been stated by Game Master rules to not be guilty, just like the detective is not guilty when that was introduced?
これは失礼しまし
My
た。
apologies.
すっかり失念しておりました。
I completely forgot.
そなたは午前3時に帰ってきたバトラと共に2階へ上がる。
After Battler returned at 3 a.m., you went up to the second floor with him.
そしてそなたも自室に戻って眠ったはずだ。
I believe you also went to the third floor and slept.
24時にいとこ部屋を訪れたかもしれぬが、午前3時以降には訪れておらぬはず。
Yeah, Battler's not the culprit. Battler can't be the culprit. But Lambda could block that. I guess in theory, Lambda could block the red text that was already stated that said he wasn't the culprit. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, technically it doesn't imply not guilty of anything, just that he's not the culprit. In this case, they're accusing Natsuhi of being the culprit, so I think Battler is safe. You may have gone to the cousin room at midnight, but I don't think you went there after 3 a.m.
まさかその後、バトラのベッドに潜り込みに行ったとでも言うのか
You now claim you went to crawl into Battler's bed later on and maybe turn the light switch on and off a few times? Every hour to make sure they weren't dead?
一晩中バトラの寝顔を見て、いとこ部屋でのアリバイを確認していたとまで言うなら。
Well, If you want to say you were looking at Battler's sleeping face all night long to confirm his alibi in the cousin room.
認めてやってもいいが
I'll accept it, right?
ええ、一晩中寝息を聞いていましたが、何か？
Yes, I listened to him breathing in his sleep all night long. Got a problem with that?
なんだと
Wait, what?
私、フルドエリカはバトラさんが午前3時にいとこ部屋にお戻りにな
I,
り、
Furuto Erica, can prove Battler-san returned to the cousin room at 3 a.m.
すぐに
What?
そのままベッドに潜り込み、すぐに就寝してしまったことを証明
Then
で
he
きま
went
す。
straight to bed afterwards and went straight to
そし
sleep.
て起床され、部屋の惨状に気づき、悲鳴を上げるまで、部屋で何も起こらなかったこ
I
と
can
まで
prove
も
that
証明でき
until
ます。
he woke up, noticed the situation the room was in, and let out a scream, nothing happened in the room.
ですのでご安心を。
You have no need to
バト
worry.
ラさんは犯人ではありません。
Battler-san isn't the culprit.
殺人現場にそうとは知らずに入り、朝まで寝てしまったただの愉快な第一
He's
発見
just
者です
a。charming first discoverer who entered the murder scene without realizing it was one and slept until morning.
バカな
An insane,
お得意の封印でも
an insane
それを
event,
証明
truly.
することは不可能なはず
It shouldn't be possible for you to prove that with those seals you love so
どう
much.
してそれがそなたに証明できるというの
How
か
can you prove this?
ふざけるな。
That's
あの
ridiculous.
時、俺は自分だけ部屋に入った。
At the time, I entered the room
エ
alone.
リカだって自分の部屋へ戻ったはず
He
だ。
says probably. Don't say probably, Battler. You're gonna lose. I entered the room alone. Erica probably went into her room too.
どうしてそんなさも見ていたかのように断言できるんだ。
How can she say something like that as though she saw the whole thing? Turns out Erica, like, slept. Turns out you think Erica was, like, sleeping in her room, but she actually slept in the hallway with her ear against the door.
見たとは言っていません。
She never said she saw it.
エリカさんに割り当てられた部屋はどこですか？
The room Erica was assigned to, where was it located?
エリカ、教えてちょうだい。
Erica, please tell me.
どうしてあなたはバトラのことがそこまで証明
How
で
can
き
you
るの？
prove so much about Battler? She's like, I installed cameras above every single one of the beds and was watching them all night. Yes, all night.
さすがよ。それでこそ
Expect
探偵
no
だわ。
less from a true detective.
私の部屋はいとこ部屋の隣です。
My room was right next to the
薄
cousin
い
room.
壁が1枚あるだけです。
There was only a single thin wall between them.
まさか
You don't mean
そなたは壁に
you
耳を
put your
つけ
ear against the wall
いとこ部屋の様子
to
を
check
伺っていたというの
what
か
was happening in the cousin room?
はい、
Yes.
私の耳は完璧
My
です。
ears are
バト
perfect.
ラさんが入室後、直ちに私は部屋の壁に耳をつけ、何か異常が起こらないか監視していました。
Right after Battler-san entered the room, I put my ear against the wall and checked to make sure nothing strange happened.
あんた、バトラが悲鳴を上げる朝まで何も起こらなかったと証明で
You
きる
said
と
you
言っ
could
たわね
prove。nothing happened until Battler let out a scream the next
ま
morning.
さかあんた、
You don't mean. That's right, I never went to sleep.
はい
Right? Yes.
朝まで一睡もせずに壁に耳をつけ監視をしておりました。
I put my ear against the wall and listened to that in on that room until morning without sleeping a wink. Erica is the psychopath. A very different kind of psychopath. What the hell are you doing, Erica? You're like, my piece is a pervert. My piece is like a stalker. My piece is obsessive. Like, oh my goodness. Everyone, she's paranoid. Was stunned into silence. She put her ear against a wall, and for the entire time until morning, listened to what was going on in Battler's room. Just what would that have looked like? Until dawn, she killed her breathing in a pitch black room, clinging to the wall shared with the cousin room, like some kind of creepy venomous spider clinging to the wall of a darkened room. Berncastle alone was grinning in triumph. Everyone else is like, what the fuck is this weird chick?
ゲームの進行上
Oh my
から
goodness.
当主の指輪を受け継いだバトラがキーマンになるのは読めていた。
Due to the progression of the game, I realized Battler, the one who received the head's ring, would be a key player.
私はてっきり バトラが第一の番の犠牲者だと思ってたわよ。
I was sure Battler would be a victim of the first Twilight. Erica's putting a ton of effort into beating a woman she doesn't even think exists that she met today. You have to remember that Erica is like a partial clone of Berncastel that Berncastel spun up to win the game for her. And Berncastel is a witch that is playing on the side of witches aren't real. Lots of people doing strange things.
はい。
Yes.
ですから、我が主の追いつけ通り。
Just as my master told me to do. And Furuto Erica was basically born with all the knowledge of all the characters too, right?
朝まで一睡もせずに壁に耳をつけ、異常が起こらないか監視をしておりました。
I put my ear against the wall until the morning without a wink of sleep, checking to make sure nothing unusual happened.
エリカの記憶力は写真並み。
Erica has a photographic
そして
memory.
聴力は録音機並み。
Her hearing ability is on par with a tape
エリカの
recorder.
耳をごまかしてジョージたちを殺し、首に傷を刻むなど
It
不
would have
可能
been
なことよ。
impossible for him to deceive Erica's ears, either to kill George and the others or make those wounds on their throats. It was impossible for Battler to commit the crime. Alright. Battler cleared of the murder. That also means the crime was not committed after 3 p.m. if she heard that. I'd like to point that out. If nothing happened in the room after 3 p.m. or 3 a.m., sorry.
権限で認められた能力ね。
It's an accepted power of the detective's authority.
認めざるを得ない。
Yeah, I have no choice but to acknowledge it.
赤で認定する
I'll
わ。
confirm it in red.
後ろ宮バトラは午前3時にいとこ部屋に戻り、そのまま就寝した。
Ishimura Battler returned to the cousin room at 3 a.m. and fell
そ
asleep.
して事件発覚まで部屋では一切不審なことはなかった。
There we go. After that, until the discovery of the crime, absolutely nothing out of the ordinary happened in the room.
つまりバトラには殺人も死体を傷つけることも不可能だったということ。
In other words, it was impossible for a battler to commit murder or damage the corpses. That is exactly what Erica's face looks like. Not looking good, Beatrice. The red from the pair forced Beato to show an expression of considerable anguish, and it was only natural. Those red truths not only guaranteed Battler's alibi, but a number of other things as well. First off, it meant the murder was impossible for anyone after 3 a.m., and since the cousins were confirmed to be alive as late as 2400 hours, the time period of the crime automatically became between 2400 and 3 a.m. This meant the alibis for all people who weren't in the guest house before 3 a.m. had been guaranteed automatically. It's impossible for the crime to have occurred after 3 a.m. Alright, so we have questions about possibility of other people. You're now looking at people outside the guest house to be the killers. That one hurts, Stop. That one hurts. Yeah, I'm with you. Remember, she's trying to close in on Kraus Natsuhi. Or she's trying to close in on Natsuhi, so... After 2400 hours, Erica was in the guest house the whole time.
屋敷にいた人物のアリバイを証明することが難しいはず。
It should have been difficult for her to prove alibis for all the people in the mansion. Yeah, it's really hard to prove all the people in the mansion. However,
エヴァたちの動向についてのアリバイ証明は困難を極めたはず。
it should have been almost impossible to prove alibis for Ava and the others. Oh, but Gop, you're in trouble because we already had the tape recorder stuff. We already had the tape recorder stuff. And the tape recorder discussion ended at the time of 3 a.m. and started at it was discussing midnight, what was happening around midnight, right? It was discussing around midnight, and that's not good because then we know the state of everyone before midnight, and midnight onwards I think is going to be until such and such arrived. We didn't know where they were, but they arrived at midnight. That's going to be interesting. So anyone who arrived exactly at midnight or was already in the parlor at midnight, I think they were having their meeting in, is going to be safe. which means Natsuhi and Kraus are going to be the guilty ones. Natsuhi, Kraus, Genji are going to be the suspicious ones, right? That should be a pretty easy multi takedown. You're like, okay, half the people were hanging out in the parlor until 3. That should cover most people.
簡単に彼らが24時から午前3時までの間
All she has to do is prove they never existed or visited the guest house between 2400 and 3 a.m.
ゲストハウスに訪れなかったことを
and that
証
she
明
can
する
prove
だけ
those
で
alibis.
アリバイが可能になってしまった
It's not good.
とにかく午前3時以前で殺人が可
We'll
能
have
だ
to
と
construct it.
構
Make,
築す
make,
るし
them,
かあるまい
make it so the murders were possible before 3 a.m.
そしてそれを屋敷の誰かで実行可能だと証明し
We
な
have
く
to
てはな
prove
らぬ
it was possible for one of the people in the mansion to do it. The people who had been in the guest house all had alibis. The crime didn't occur before midnight. The crime couldn't have occurred after 3 a.m. In other words, there was no way for the murders to happen unless someone from the mansion committed the crime between 2400 and 300. That's not good. Oh, 300. Is it possible someone in the mansion committed the crime between midnight and 3 a.m.? In order to protect Natsuhi, she had to establish it was possible for someone other than Natsuhi to commit the crime. Ironically, the witch had to prove that a human committed the crime.
しかし、そいつはなかなか難しい話だな。
Here's the thing.
エリカは午前3時までラウンジにいた。
Until 3 a.m., Erica was in the lounge.
そして2階へはそこを通らずには至れない。
You have to pass through there to reach the second floor.
つまり、事実上、ゲストハウス2階の管理人のような状態になってる。
In other words, she's basically the manager for the guest house. Second floor.
月並みですが、エリカに知られずに2階へ上がることができれば。
It may be overused, but if it was possible for someone to go up to the second floor without Erica
犯
noticing,
行は誰にでも可能だと証明できるでしょう。
we should be able to prove the crime was possible for, well, anyone.
人間、その気になりゃ、2階の窓までよじ登ることもできるかもしれねえぞ。
True. It's probably possible for a human to climb up to a second-story window if they really wanted to. Yep. Is there a way to reach the second floor without passing through the lounge Erica was in? Of course, Beato also thought of striking back that way, and Vern Castell must have thought of this as well.
バトラ、南條、郷田、熊沢
Butler, Nanjo, Goda, Kumasawa.
ゲストハウスのすべての人物に犯行が不可能であることは分かった。
We realized the crime was impossible for all the people in the guest house.
しかし、屋敷の人間はどうか。
However, what about the humans in the mansion? You mean like Natsuhi? She's in the mansion.
すでにお話ししておりますし、我が主が赤き真実でも宣言済みです。
As I've already said, my master has even proclaimed the thread true.
私はゲストハウス1階のラウンジにいました。
I was in the lounge of the first floor on the guest house.
そして2階へ至るにはラウンジを通らなければなりません。
To reach the second floor, one must pass through the lounge.
つまり私の目に触れずに2階へ至ることは不可能だということです。
In other words, it's impossible to reach the second floor without me seeing it.
それが不可能ではなかったら
And what if it wasn't impossible?
例えば、ゲストハウスの外壁にはしごを立てかけ、2階の窓より侵入したとか。
For example, what if someone placed a ladder against the outer wall of the guest house and snuck in through the second story
ラ
window?
ウンジを通らずに2階へ至る方法は存在するはず。
There must be a way to reach the second floor without passing
こ
through
れ
the
ならば
lounge.
そなたの目に触れずに犯行現場へ至ることは可能だ。
This game made you realize how ridiculously OP the detective is in mystery stories. Yes. Yes, they are ridiculous sometimes. But they're also needed to prove the crime and give you a solution on the spot instead of saying the police investigated and came to this conclusion that may or may not have been right. And to also not have like a 6-hour court drama in the at the end of your book. It's kind of a useful contrivance. There must be a way to reach the second floor without passing through the lounge. That way it'd be possible to reach the crime scene without you seeing it. Beato finally struck back. Before now, she let Erica take total control and attack her with the red over and over. During that time, Beato's counterattacks with the blue truth had been few in number, even including this one.
当然そう切り返されることは想定済みです。
I knew you'd try saying that.
私のラウンジでの見張りが無意味であったことにされてはたまり
I
ません
couldn't
か
have
ら。
my lookout in the lounge become meaningless.
そこでまずは私の見張りが完璧であったことを
I
証
must
明し
first
なくて
prove
はな
my
りませ
lookout
ん。
was perfect. Is she gonna use more seals on all the windows and doors on the second floor?
まずゲストハウスの構造上、
First off, because of how the guest house is constructed. I'm listening.
ラウンジにいた私の目に触れることなく2階へ至ることは不可能です。
It's impossible to reach the second floor without me seeing it from the lounge? What about a ladder? They did specify a ladder.
視覚も遮蔽物も一切なく、どのような物理的、心理的視覚も
Are you
存
saying
在
it's
しません。
impossible to approach? Ah, there's no places under cover, nor are there physical or mental blind spots. Basically, she's watching the windows. She's watching the windows to make sure no one's approaching under the cover of the typhoon. Okay.
我が主、復唱要求します。
Master, repeat it. I don't know if she'll be able to get that.
ゲストハウス2階へはラウンジにいた人物に知られずに至ることは不可能。
It's impossible to reach the second floor of the guest house without anyone in the lounge noticing it.
もちろんこれは内部から2階へ至る話だけれど、
Though, of course, this only refers to reaching the second floor from inside the building. Note that it's from inside. Okay.
グッドです。我が主。
My master. So from outside the building it's possible.
さて次はベアトリーチェ教のご公説の外部から至る方法です。
So next up, Lady Beatrice's theory there might be a way to reach the second floor from the
こ
outside.
れには正直困りました。
This really is a problem.
登れそうな木もありますし、はしごを使う手もあるでしょ。
After all, there are trees that could probably be climbed and someone could have used a
雨
ladder.
どいをよじ登って2階に至ることも不可能とは言い切れません。
Even crawling up the rain gutter can't be ruled out as
し
impossible.
かし、これをさせるわけにはいきません。
I can't let you do that.
ほう、させぬとな。
You won't let me?
ではどうしたというのか。
And how's that?
まさか夜通しゲストハウスの周りをぐるぐる回って寝
Did you
ず番を
stay
し
up
たと
all
でも
night
言うの
circling the
か。
guest house?
いや、それはできないよ
No,
な。
you couldn't do that.
そなたはラウンジにいたのだから。
You were in the
ラ
lounge.
ウンジの窓から見える外は外周の一部に過ぎない。
With the lounge, you can only see a small part of the outer perimeter through the window.
そうです。
Rude.
私は外壁を2階まで登るあらゆる方法を完全に防ぐことはできませ
I
ん。
couldn't prevent all methods of climbing to the second floor from the outside.
しかし、2階へ侵入することを防ぐことはできました。
However, I was able to prevent all entry to the second floor.
侵入を防ぐと。
Prevent entry? You think Beatrice wouldn't be so taunting and arrogant by this point? I'm pretty sure that's just Beatrice's personality. If she has even any faith in herself, she's gonna be super arrogant.
すでに読めている手です。
She's like the kind of person whose entire belief is that she's better than you. Therefore, if she has any belief in herself, she'll believe she's better than you. Like if she has any confidence, her confidence will be enough to make her think she's better than you. Because she's just an arrogant person. I'd already foreseen this
恐
move.
ろしい。
How terrifying.
ここま
But
で
she would be
必
so
要とは
persistent.
ゲストハウスはその構造上、外部から2階へ侵入するには窓を使うほかありません。
Because of how the guest house is constructed, the windows are the only method of entry from the outside of the second floor.
正常？どうでもいいことです。
Not important at
た
all.
だ、窓が、鎧戸が、一度も開かれなかったことを保証すればいいだけの話
Only
だっ
had
た
to
ん
prove
です。
that none of the windows or shutters were even open once.
私は黄金の隠し場所に立ち会い、その後
After I witnessed
ゲ
the
ストハウ
location
ス
of the
へ
hidden
戻っ
gold.
てすぐ、
Okay. Witness location of
ラ
gold.
ウンジを通過せずにゲストハウス2階へ至ることのできるすべての方法を断絶する工作を開始しました。
I returned to the guest house and immediately began severing all methods of entry to the second floor of the guest house that didn't pass through the lounge.
ええ、
Okay.
同じことです。
Exactly the same.
これまでと何も変わらず。
No different from the rest.
あんた、
Don't tell me.
まさかゲストハウスのすべての窓にお得意の封印をしたって言い出すの？
Don't tell me you used that seal of yours on all the windows of the guest
あの
house.
天気の中、 その格好で
In that weather, dressed like that?
一応漂着時の水着持ってますので。
Well, I did have my swimsuit from when I drifted here. You're insane. She is, but it's so funny. It's like, what was physically possible? And it's like, well, theoretically, someone could have checked every single window and put like a piece of paper in all of them to make sure that not a single one of these was opened. And you're like, yeah, but who would actually... I did that! And you're like, oh my fucking god. Oh, and the fact that she's the detective and says it worked, it worked. Oh, that's gross. Erica's funny. At a house where you were welcomed as a guest? You did something like that in the middle of the rain, even though nothing happened yet? Burncastell's here to win, baby. She's a genre-aware detective. For a normal human, it would have been an action so suspicious as to be completely impossible. But she's the witch's piece. It's so sus. In the middle of all that rain, Erica sealed all the windows from the outside to create an alibi showing no one could have snuck into the guest house from the outside. She climbed the wall herself, did that to all the windows on the first and second. No, to all things that could possibly have permitted entry. Although after hearing that she'd listened to the cousin room all night long without sleeping a wink, this new bizarre action didn't seem quite so impossible. This level of reasoning is possible for Furuto Erica. This also probably looked like a venomous spider. A disgusting spider crawling over the outside guest house wall during a storm. Just what do you... Just what do you think of this Ushiromiya family? Half of you are psychopaths. Are psychopathic murderers. You're literally one bad day away from killing everyone in your family. I think we can safely say it's not reason. She thought someone would be murdered. Yeah, what a weird coincidence. Wonder why she thought that. Is this how you repay us for welcoming you as a guest? Yes, yes it is. She's trying to save everybody's life. Calm the fuck down. Oh wait, Natsuhi's the guilty part. Natsuhi is on the stand being accused of murder. Never mind.
探偵にとって後宮家は事件の舞台以上にも以下にもなりません。
To a detective, the Ushiromiya family is nothing more or less than the stage upon which the crime occurs.
私にとって事件発生前に重要なことは登場人物の名前を覚えることと地形構造を覚えること。
Before the outbreak of the crime, it was important for me to memorize the names of the characters, memorize the layout of the
来たる
land,
事件に備え各種アリバイの取
and
得準備
prepare for the
および
upcoming crime
工作に専念することです。
by devoting my time toward collecting and creating all possible alibis.
事件発生前に何の準備もしない探偵は私から見れば三流かと。
From my perspective, detectives who don't prepare anything before the outbreak of the crime are pretty third-rate.
逗留先で人が死ぬと私たちは知っているのだから。
She could have sealed the windows from inside. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, why on earth does she not seal the windows from the inside? Doesn't that make more sense? But I guess she's sealing it from the outside because no one's looking there, or because no one would predict she'd need to climb the walls like a fucking spider. Whatever. No one would predict that someone would seal all the doors from the outside. That would be crazy. Like, you see all those shutters closed, and you're like, ah, someone closed them from the inside. Not some crazy lady closed them from the outside. She might have missed an entry point from the inside. That's true. She might have missed an entry point from the inside and had to double check. There also might have been someone in some of the rooms. Like, for example, if she's checking and sealing the second floor cousin's room, they might have noticed her sealing the room and been like, what the fuck are you doing? Whereas if she did it from the outside, maybe they wouldn't have noticed her. Anyway. Detectives who don't prepare anything before the outbreak of a crime are pretty third rate. After all, we all know that someone will die wherever we spend the night. Feels bad. It's like your guts permanently cursed to know that someone around you is gonna die everywhere you spend the night. Feels the life of a detective is harsh. Stay at a hotel, someone dies. Stay at a friend's house, someone nearby dies. Or your friend dies. Furthermore, at the time the crime was discovered, you go to a party, someone gets fucking murdered, and you have to solve a crime. At the time the crime was discovered, Erica confirmed none of the seals had been broken.
エリカが死体発見時に一番にいとこ部屋に到着しなかった理由はそういうことよ。
That's why Erica wasn't the first one to reach the cousin room when the corpses were found.
死体なんて見分しなくても赤き真実でいくらでも確定が取れる。
Even without expecting the corpses, she could be certain of several things thanks to the red
そ
tree.
れより重要なのはアリバイ構築のための封印の確認だった。
More important to check the seals and construct alibis.
我が主は完璧です。
My master is perfect.
私は主に命じられたままに全てを完璧に証明しただけです。
All I did was prove everything perfect by following my master's orders.
見事よ、エリカ。
Well done,
私の
Eric.
分身、
My devil, my
私の
peeve.
駒。どう？ラ
What do
ム
you
ダ。
think, Lambda?
これでラウンジでのエリカの見張りはアリバイ構築上絶対の信頼性を持つことが証明されたと思うけど。
Does this prove Erica's lookout in the lounge contains absolute reliability as far as constructing alibis? It might. What's missing? There was no way to reach the second floor without passing through the lounge. Oof. Well, there goes that one. One more light gone, 5 left. I acknowledge it.
あなたの封印は完璧よ。
Erica, your seal is perfect.
私が赤で認めるわ。
Just a feeling. Just a feeling. Who are you planning on visiting me? Just a feeling, yeah. Every time a detective takes a trip, someone dies. So if they say they're going to visit a friend, I guess a body's got to show up somewhere, either right before they arrive, or around the time they arrive. The best part of this is that according to Nox's rules, she would have all evidence needed to solve the mystery anyway, so she didn't need to do all this to gather clues. True, according to Nox's rules, there has to be enough information to solve the mystery provided in the story. But it's fun that she's making sure she knows everything, and it's playing up the fact that the detective actually does know everything. Like, they don't just magically get given the knowledge; they somehow had everything ready and knew everything for real. It's not like Sherlock gets the information implanted into his brain via word of God. It's presumably that he can use insane deductive reasoning to achieve things, even if it's like incredibly far-fetched to reason through it, or you don't always agree with how he reached it. It's supposed to be feasible for him to have achieved it himself, because the cause and effect of Nox's rules, say that the detective should have come upon the information at some point. So her sealing it out makes sense because she's like, I have to come upon it, which means like I need to do something that results in me getting this information. Right? It's like the detective will stumble upon it because they did something, stumble upon information because they did something that will cause them to stumble on it rather than them just getting the information. So even if she's doing crazy shit, it just means she's guaranteeing she's going to get it and not miss it, because the concern is always, right? The concern for the detective, especially Erica at this point, is that she would incorrectly deduce something, not that she would miss the evidence, because she knows she has to be given the evidence to succeed. So she's like, how do I make this as straightforward as possible? Okay, the only way they come in is through this one door. If I seal every other door and they don't get in any other way, I can say that like they had to have come through here but at this time, so I could probably solve the mystery. Erica, your seal is perfect. I'll acknowledge it in red.
ゲストハウス2階へはラウンジを通過しない限り至ることはできず、
After your seal is perfect, I'll acknowledge it in red. It was impossible to reach the second floor of the guest house without passing through the
ラウンジ
lounge.
にいたエリカに知られずに至ることは不可能。
It was impossible to reach it all without Erica, who was in the lounge, knowing about it.
ありがとうございます、ラムダデルタ卿。
Thank you very much, Lambda Delta. If only you could write this up in blue.
以上により
It would be nice.
次のことが確定したわけです。
You know what's coming
大ベ
next,
アト
Great
リーチェ
Lady?
卿。
Great Lady Beatrice?
以上により犯行時刻は生存確認をした24時から。
Yeah, it would be really. It might if Erica's subtle enough, it might be really hard to tell that someone's sealing the doors or is sealing the windows, except for the ones people are actually in at the time. Like for the cousin's room. If someone notices that the fucking shutters are closed when they weren't 5 minutes ago, that'd be really weird. But given that it's raining really hard and there's nothing to see, it wouldn't. They could also think it wouldn't be unreasonable for the shutters to have been closed in the first place, so they'd have to notice the discrepancy. For it to be one of those things where, like, the heck's going on? Stealing from the inside would be the same deal, except people are more likely to notice you running to the windows, opening the window, and closing the shutters, based on the design of these houses and what she's claiming she did. Therefore, the time of the crime is limited to a single hour between 2400, when they were confirmed to be alive,
ラウンジで団らんが始まった午前
and
1
1
時まで
a.m.
の1時間の
when
間
our
に
party
限
in the
定され
lounge
る。
started. That's a blue truth that hurts Beato. And you disprove that one.
すでにお話ししていますが、私は24時にラウンジに降り、
I already said it, but at 2400 I went down to the lounge. Imagine if Erica actually died of hypothermia after she met Maria instead of being alive for all of this. Given the way the game rules work, it is not entirely clear if she was ever actually on a boat. It is not clear if she was ever actually on the boat or crashed, and not just them editing the fucking world. Because she arrived after the seal was down and the typhoon was in place, and the place is like effectively cut off from the outside world at that point. So there's no way they should actually be able to interact with anyone. Basically, all they can do is call the witches up on the higher level of existence because they're in like the witches game board, right? They can't actually interact with the outside world, so at best they're interacting with the witches who would be like, "Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, there was a boat crash. We lost someone aboard the USS Touring." And you're like, "Whoa, really? The touring ship lost someone? Yeah, a young girl, Furuto Erica, or some shit. Did you find her? Yeah, we're on an island." Like, yeah, that's how it's gonna go. Yeah, lower risk, higher risk approaching the inside or outside. I don't know. It's not a big deal. I think both of them would have worked, but it would have been a little more sus if you did the inside one in like where anyone else was. It would have been a bit weird. But I mean, you still might have been able to do it with your detective powers. So who really cares? I've said it, but at midnight I went down to the
そこ
lounge.
で南條先生と意気投合し、午前1時まで書庫でミステリー談義にふけっておりました。
I was engrossed by a discussion of the mystery genre in the library until 1 a.m.
お恥ずかしながらすっかり熱中してしまっていたため、
Bit embarrassing, but I grew so wrapped up in
そ
that
の間
discussion.
廊下を誰かが通り抜けても私は気づけませんでした。
I just wouldn't have noticed if anyone passed through the corridor during that
勝
period.
手にあるまじき痛恨のミスです。
A regretful mistake for a detective. Possibly also orders of Bern Castell. After doing all that maneuvering and setting up seals to guarantee a perfect alibi, she became too engrossed in a mystery discussion and left an opening. Her relaxed smile was completely shameless, the total opposite of her words. Obviously a trap to see who could be going in and doing this, right? It seems like it's the other way around. She claims she was goofing off and she's actually just stalling for time, creating an opportunity. It's enough to make you think this was an intentional trap, to make it clear that only Natsuhi didn't have an alibi between 2400 and 1 a.m.
つまり逆説的に申し上げるとこういうことです。
In other words, it paradoxically
いと
means
こ部屋
this.
に至って犯行を行えるのは24時から午前1時までの間に
アリバイを失う人物だけということです。
The only ones who've reached the cousin room and committed the crime are those characters who have no alibi between midnight and 1 a.m. Her eyes clearly hinted that Natsuhi was the only one who fit this description. There goes another one. I think that was the external timer. Yep. Outside the time span of 2400 to 1. Genji, Kraus, and someone other than Natsuhi. The easiest one to dismiss at this point is the people in the lounge right now. That would probably what I'd attack next. It should have been a crime whose time and location were completely unknown during the long night, and yet Natsuhi narrows it, or not Natsuhi, Erika narrows it down so much. But because of the alibis Erika had constructed, it had been limited to the time period between midnight and 1 a.m. Erika left the cousin room at midnight. That leads the last confirmation that George and the others were alive. And after the party in the lounge started at 1 a.m., it was impossible to reach the cousin room by any method. And from a mere human. This is looking bad. Your list of people who could do it is pretty short. An entire evening has been sealed into an hour, and at this rate there won't be many suspect pieces left. Damn it, Lady Burncaster. Nicely done. Unlike Battler, I'm not an idiot. After watching this game 5 times, I've got more than enough cards in my hand. Let's continue. What's next? Let's examine the alibis of the remaining suspects, the people in the mansion. Okay, yeah.
何しろ24時から午前1時までのたった1時間の話。
After all, we only have to worry about the single hour between midnight and 1 a.m.
もはや難しいことではありません。
Shouldn't be too hard.
まず24時の
Start
時
with
点
midnight.
この時点で2階廊下に夏日、クラウス、源氏がおり、それ以外の全員が1階食堂におりました。
At this time, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji are in the second floor corridor, and all the others are in the first floor dining
これ
hall.
はすでに我が主によって赤き真実で示されて
It's
いま
already
す。
been shown by my master's red. There we go.
そうよ。
That's right, that's right.
24時の時点で屋敷の2階廊下には夏日とクラウス、源氏がいた。
At 2400 hours, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji were on the corridor of the second floor of the mansion.
残りは全員1階の食堂。
The rest of them were in the dining hall on the
そ
first
して
floor.
ご
Okay.
存知の通り、謎のノックがあって、片翼の紋章の手紙が現れた。
As you know, there was a mysterious knock and a letter with a one-winged
そ
seal
し
on
て
it.
それをめぐって午前1時まで延々と議論が続い
The
たの。
discussion surrounding that continued until 1 a.m.
私がそれを赤き真実で語
I'll say it with the
る
red truth.
食堂の全員は午前1時まで誰一人食
We
堂を
already-
退出していな
We
い。
could have hinted. This was already hinted, but alright. Of all the people in the dining hall, not one of them left the dining hall until 1 a.m. Yep. The letter stuff really clarified the state of things around midnight, and like the fact that we had discussions about when people were returning means it was also really straightforward to say, someone in the mansion committed the crime between midnight and 3. Oh, okay, that's what we're doing. That's the one we're axing. Shouldn't that also axe the third one, though? Since it was impossible for someone other than... Oh, whatever. We'll just see how it goes. The adults in the family conference who were confirmed not to have left the mansion between midnight and 1 a.m. had all had proven alibis each other, right?
それをどうやって証明するのか。エリカはゲストハウス。
Erica's in the guest house.
誰かが食堂の扉にお得意の封印でもして
Did
証明
someone
したと
prove
い
it
うの
using
か。
one of your favorite seals of the dining hall
納
door?
得のいく証拠も証明もないぞ。
You have no evidence or proof?
赤き真実はただ真実であり、証拠も証明も議論の余地も必要ない。
The red truth is true. There is no need to provide evidence, proof, or room for a counter argument. Get
あん
wrecked?
たが作ったルールよ。
Ooh, you made that rule. This overbearing red truth hadn't only given alibis to the adults in the dining hall, it gave alibis to Shannon and Cannon, who'd come to serve tea because they arrived at the stroke of midnight. He even guaranteed that he never left the dining hall. In other words, the only ones who didn't have proven alibis were these three, Natsuhi, Kraus, and Genji. That's not looking great, is it? No, there were only two left. If Kraus and Genji had their alibis proven, it proves no one but Natsuhi could have been the culprit. Yep. You're running out of options.
では次に
Let's
現
do,
地についてです
let's do Genji next. I agree. Okay, Genji's a good target here. A, because he's dead later on, and yeah, actually that's about it. I mean, it's a 50-50. You either pick Kraus or Genji, and I think Genji is the most likely to be eliminated, as he'd be dead later.
彼は犠牲者ですが、いとこ部屋での犯行に及んだ後、自らも殺された可能性も否定できません。
He's a victim, but you can't deny the possibility that he committed the crime in the cousin room and then was killed himself. Yep, okay.
そして何より、24時に2階廊下にいましたが、
Furthermore, although he was in the second floor corridor at midnight, yeah?
その後、夏日の電話の取り次ぎのため、使用人室に戻り、孤立します。
He then returned to the servant room to transfer the phone call for Natsuhi and was completely isolated. Yep. Was the crime possible for Genji, who was in the mansion?
ということは、現時にも犯行は可能なはず。
Which means it's possible for Genji to commit the...
赤で語るわ。
Are you just gonna say in red that he didn't commit it? I'm curious what his condition was for that.
源氏は電話の取り次ぎを終えた後、そのまままっすぐ控え室に戻っている。
Okay, that's a mean weapon. Being able to red text when you're on the offense is mean. She just red text that he didn't kill anyone. That's lame. When he finished transferring the call, he immediately returned to the waiting room.
証拠も証明も封印もアリバイもなく、ただ冷
It's
酷
a
に
cold hard
真
truth
実
without
を
evidence, proof, seals, or alibis. Oof. Yeah, that's brutal. Just getting red texted that they didn't kill is fucking brutal.
そして午前1時、
Then at 1 a.m.,
親族会議は再び小休止となり、ローザがゲストハウスへ戻ります。
there was another break in the family conference at 1 and Rosa returned to the guest house. Okay.
この時、
At that time,
本当に協力に感謝します。後ろ宮エヴァさん、
I'm truly thankful for your cooperation, Ava-san.
ご起立を。
Please rise.
エリ
boy,
カ
Ava.
ちゃんだけじゃないのよ。
Erica-chan wasn't the only one, okay? Also, yeah, if Genshi really transferred a call, does that mean the man from 19 years ago is real? It's possible, actually. He is real in the sense that... Lambda Delta she called Lambda Delta. He can't be the killer. Unless the man from 19 years ago is one of the default starting people on the island. And by that I mean like the people who are in chapter 1. But it's already been stated that the culprit is not going to be someone from outside the crew if they're adding characters. That's what they did with the introduction of this character here. What's her name? Erica. With the introduction of Erica, they're like, new characters can be added, but they aren't going to be the culprit. So, the man from 19 years ago may or may not exist. Like, he may not be real, in the sense that, like, he's actually real. Because Erica's probably not real. She's a fictitious character that was inserted into the game board by Bern Castell, and, like, for the purposes of the real world, probably doesn't exist. I.e., no documentation, isn't actually a real person, was never born. The 19th person might be the same thing. A shade about as real as the demons that are attacking and killing people, or the fucking Seven Sisters of Purgatory, or even the witches themselves. So they're about as real as that. Neverborn, that's worse than Battler. I mean, yeah, Neverborn are pretty bad people. Haven't read any of their lore in a while. Pretty sure aren't they like mostly dead primordials? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they are. It's been a long ass time since I read that shit. Eric wasn't the only one, okay? Yeah, Ava's acting up. Okay. I was certain. Right. Ava was certain that something would happen that night. Okay.
彼女こそは私に封印を教えてくれた方。
She's the person who taught me to make the seals.
そして私と共に疑わしい人物のアリバイを確かめる
She helped
ため
me
に
check the alibis
協
of
力して
people
く
under
ださいました。
suspicion. Okay.
私は午前1時の小
During
休
the
止
break
の
at 1.
源氏さんの控室に行きエリカちゃんと同じ封印をしたの。
You gotta be kidding me. I went to Genji-san's waiting room and used the same seal as Erika-chan.
つまりこれが破られていなかったなら
In other words, if it's not broken, Genji never returned to his room. Okay.
午前1時から翌朝までこの部屋は誰も出入りできなかったこ
It
と
means
に
no one entered or left the room between 1 a.m. and the next morning? Okay. Damn, alright. These seal applications are getting nutty.
続けてカノンさん、熊
Now
沢さん、
Canon and Kumasawa-san.
ご起立を。
Rise. Rise! Canon rose expressionlessly and Kumasawa got to her feet timidly.
お二人は朝、
In the morning,
起きてくるのが遅い源氏さんを起こしに行きましたね。
you two went to wake Genji-san because he slept in, right?
そしてその時、扉に封印がされているのに気づき、それを破いて扉を開きましたね。
At the time, you noticed the door was sealed, broke the seal, and opened the door, correct? Ah, the tape seal. Yes.
はい。
Yes.
何かのいたずらだろうと思い
I
ま
thought it was
し
some
た。
kind of prank.
あの時はそんなことは深く気にしませんでした。
I didn't think deeply about it at the time. Second possibility, someone reapplied the tape.
感想は聞いてません。事実だけを述べるように。
I'm not asking for opinions. Give it the facts.
封印を破って入
Did you
室
break the
した
seal
の
and
で
enter
す
the room?
ね。
For these seals, it's possible someone remade them.
はい。
He broke the seal and entered the room. Alright.
赤き真実でエヴァとカノンと熊沢の今の証言が真実であることを保証するわ。
And with the red truth, I'll now guarantee that Ava Cannon and Kumasawa-san's statements now are the truth. Oh boy, here we go.
エヴァは午前1時に源氏の控室に封印をし、それは朝の事件発覚時にカノンと熊沢に破られた。
At 1 a.m., Ava sealed Genji's waiting room, and that seal was broken by Cannon and Kumasawa in the morning when the crime was discovered.
面倒だからさらに付け加えるわ。
It'll be a pain. I'll add on some more.
午前1時の小休止で最初に食堂を出たのはローザとエヴァよ。
During the short break at 1 a.m., the first two to leave the dining hall were Rosa and Ava.
エヴァが戻るまで食堂の人間は全員その場にとどまっていた。
Until Ava returned, everyone in the dining hall remained there. That means the murder of Genji likely happened before 1 a.m., right? And that Genji did not return to his room after 1 a.m. Or that room after 1 a.m. I see. I think that's where it's leading. Basically, Genji could have killed them, but he wasn't. No one went and killed him. Or he was already slain before 1. He was already slain before 1. So if he went and killed someone and then got killed himself, it happened in the hour span. I don't think it makes him innocent, though.
エヴァはローザを見送った後、控室へ行き、
After seeing Rosa off, Ava went to the waiting room and sealed it. So, this does not make him innocent, but it means nothing happened in the room after 1. That's my impression.
無論、その際に室内には一切立ち入っていないわ。
Before, she didn't enter the room at all at this time.
これらはすべて関係者からの事情聴取で分かった
This
ことで
is
す。
information gathered from the people involved. I don't think we have evidence that Genji is innocent, honestly. I think Genji could have killed someone. Could have killed 3 people, then, or 4 people, then killed himself. I think that's an explanation that Beato could use to get out of this.
根拠なき赤き真実ではありません。
It isn't a red truth without a basis.
証言から構築された正当な推理による真実
It's
で
a
す。
truth due to proper reasoning constructed from testimony.
証言だけでなく、指紋の採取、各種科学捜査、可能な限りを尽くしました。
Not only testimony, but the limits of scientific investigation, such as collecting fingerprints, were used here.
何しろ、金蔵さんの書斎はあらゆる薬物の宝庫。
After all, Kinzo's study is a treasure vault with all kinds of
赤
chemicals.
き真実に限りなく近い究極の真実である各
I
種の調査
attained
結果を得てい
all
ます。
sorts of results to create an ultimate truth, infinitely close to a red truth.
サイエンスミステリーではないので、その
It
詳
isn't
細
a
は
science
割
mystery,
愛し
though.
ますが、
So I'll spare you the details. As Erica swaggered around the cathedral, she arrogantly touted her scientific knowledge. Alright, she's apparently a genius too. Used thorough knowledge of all the chemicals in Kinzo's study and used them to conduct a scientific investigation, which was now acknowledged and made red truth by Bern Castell. You gotta be kidding me. She didn't explain the details, but she obtained results that were convincing even without the red truth. Collecting fingerprints with aluminum powder, component analysis of the mud under someone's shoe, and various chemical reactions from the clinging rainwater. Erica just walked into someone else's study several times. She used several chemicals however she pleased without asking the family's permission. No one could fault her for this, though. The pieces couldn't hinder any action the detective might take for the investigation. That's the power of the detective's authority. Seems like the detective's actually a divinity. Perhaps a divine spirit.
我が物顔とはよく言ったものよ。
You act like you own the place.
次よ
Practically
り
does.
探偵を名乗る者は決して客人として迎えぬよう。出
From
会う
now on,
者
I'll
たち
tell
に
everyone I
忠
meet.
告しよう。
If someone claims to be a detective, never welcome them into your house as a guest.
それがよろしいかと思います。
It's a good idea.
探偵に雨宿りを許すなんて吹きつきあまりないことなんですから。
Giving shelter to a detective is about the worst omen of misfortune out there. It's true. It's true. You give shelter to the detective, someone's probably getting murdered.
以上から
Because of this?
現時の控え室へ至り犯行を行うのが可能なのもまた
It's been proven it's only possible to reach Genji's waiting room
24時から午前1時までであることが証明されたわ。
and commit the crime between midnight and 1 a.m.
そしてさらにエリカの調査によって現時にもいとこ部屋へ至るのが不可能
Furthermore,
で
by
あるこ
Erica's
とが証
investigation,
明
it's
さ
been
れたわ。
proven it's impossible for Genji to reach the cousin room. Okay. It was made clear in red after transferring the call to Natsuhi. Genji went straight back to the waiting room. Because of the scientific investigation by Erica, further red was added, saying Genji never left the mansion after midnight. Because of this, it's been made clear Genji couldn't have reached the guest house, much less the cousin room. Genji has an alibi. Well, if, due to science/red text, Genji couldn't leave after midnight. Sure. If it wasn't for the magic of unexplained science, that wouldn't have flown.
残るのはクラウスと夏日だけだわ。
And now only Kraus and Natsuhi remain.
それ以外の全員のアリバイが証明されちゃったじゃない。
Everyone else had their alibis proven, haven't they? I'm curious about this one because I think it's really hard to determine between Kraus and Natsuhi for the first one. Although I had Genji on the list too because I didn't have the magic of hashtag science. Impossible. One of you two is the killer. 50-50 at this point. I mean, in Among Us, that's good enough for me. 50-50 one of them, 50-50 the other. Call it a day. If there's only one killer left. Natsuhi's mouth flapped open and shut like a suffocating goldfish. Ripperoni. It's an accurate analogy. Her mind was blank and spinning out of control. She felt as though she really would suffocate.
Ushiromiya Natsuhi.
Ushiromiya Natsuhi.
最後にチャンスをあげるわ。
You have one last chance.
すべての犯行はあなたの夫の仕業だと自ら告白なさい。
Confess. All of the crimes were the work of your husband.
バカな。私が本当に濡れ衣を着せるような女に見えますか？
Do I look like the kind of woman who would falsely accuse her husband?
ベアト。
Beata.
夏日は拒否したわ。
Natsuhi's denied it.
そしてあなたにも同じチャンス。
I'll give you the same chance.
分かっているでしょ？
You understand, right?
それともまさか。
Oh, wait, don't tell me.
クラウスが行方不明であるのをいいことに悪魔の証明でごまかしきれるつもりじゃないわよね。
You aren't going to try to take advantage of the proof. The fact that Kraus is missing to try and pull a devil's proof on me, are you? Was the crime possible for Kraus, who was in the McMansion? Beato realized they were rapidly approaching the end of this battle. Normally, Beato should have been able to argue against these alibis of Erica's in several ways using Blue Truth. However, all the alibis were accepted by Berncastel and Lambda Delta as Red Truth. Beato no longer had any room to argue.
まるであの魔女どもがそうなるように曲解してるみてえじゃないか。
The witches are distorting things so they match with the plotline Erica's drawn up.
そうですね。
That's right.
ゲームマスターのラムダデルタ教が納得したなら、その真実の真贋は問われない。
If the game master Lambda Delta accepts the truth,
最後に残った真実に基づ
the
かれ
authenticity
続く
is
世界が
beyond
紡がれる。
questioning.
その最後の真実が本当の真実とどれほどかけ離れていようとも。
The world that comes after will be formed based on the final remaining truth. It happens no matter how far this final truth is from the real truth.
クラウスおじさんが犯人のわけない。
There's no way Kraus is the culprit. Why? Why, Battler?
おじさんは何者かに監禁されてるんだぞ。
That's your evidence? He called and someone said he was held prisoner? He's probably dead, but still.
いや、
Wait.
そうと。夏日おばさんを電話でうまく騙した可能性も否定できないが。
We can't deny the possibility Aunt Natsuhi was skillfully tricked into believing that during the phone call.
バトラ君は夏日とクラウスを疑ってい
You
ますか？
suspect Natsuhi and Kraus? I mean, it could be both. They could be working in tandem.
それは
They could have both been killing. Well.
エリカの真実は卑劣な構築ですが正当です。
Erica's truth's been constructed in a cowardly fashion, but it's a proper truth.
魔女と結託しているとはいえ赤き真実で認められています。
Though the witches conspired with her, it's still been acknowledged as red truth.
つまり嘘だけで構築した偽の真実では断じ
It
てあ
cannot
り
be a
ません。
fake built solely on lies.
つまりエリカの真実でも
I mean,
筋が通るので
Erica's
す。
truth is supported by logic.
夏日やクラウスが犯人という真実も全くありえ
The
な
truth
くはありません。
about Natsuhi and Kraus being culprits is also very possible.
それが虚構であろうとも筋は通る。
Even if it's a mixture of truth and lies, it makes sense logically.
真実と同じ価値を持った虚構なのです。
It's this mixture of truth and lies that's as valuable as truth is.
その二つの真実のどち
Which
ら
of
を
these
信
two
じ
truths
る
are you going to believe?
それは
Maybe both?
バトラ君自身
It's
が
up to you
自
to
ら
decide.
決めることです。
いや、
No.
俺は夏日おばさんとクラウスおじさんを信じるぜ。
Ah, Battler's back to his old strategy. Fucking Christ. For those of you who've forgotten, because it's been so many chapters, well, it hasn't really been that many, but still. Since it's been a few chapters, or at least a little while into this chapter, Battler's back to his good old strategy of going, it was witches. Whenever anyone in this story is put on, gets the irons put to them for fucking murdering someone, Battler chooses to just huff as much copium as possible and say they didn't do it. it was a witch, and then back out of the witch statement right before he's forced to actually admit it was a witch and just be like, oh, I don't know, sorry.
確かに金でトラブルがあるのは知ってる。
I realize they're in some money trouble.
だがそれでも
Even so, I don't want to believe they're the culprits.
信じたくない。いや、信じられない。
I can't believe it.
これだけ赤で着実に追い詰められたこの盤面上でどうやったら夏日を
On
逃
this
が
game
せ
board,
ますか
where the red steadily corners Natsuhi, how do you intend to let her escape?
わからねえ。
I don't know.
だが
I seriously don't want to give up.
したくない。夏日おばさんは卑劣な罠にはめられただけだ。
Aunt Nazi was caught in a cowardly trap. So you're blaming the phone call man for being the killer?
エリカの推理はまさにそれに踊らされたもの。
Erica's reasoning fell for that trap completely.
だから
Whether it's
エ
intentional
リ
or
カは
not.
意図してかせずしてか本当の
Erica's
犯
dating the
人
true
の片
culprit.
棒を担いでるんだ。
The list of people who could be the culprit is pretty short though.
エリカが夏日おばさんを犯人だと告発し、そしてこの場にいる誰もがそうだと信じた。
Erica accused Natsuhi of being the culprit, but even if everyone here believes it.
ならばこそ俺だけは夏日おばさんを信じたい。
In fact, for that very reason, I want to be the one person who trusts her. You're a contrarian? It's one thing to argue from a contrarian perspective, but actually believing it's curious. Alright. If everyone believes it's her, will that become the truth? If everyone accepts a lie, what will become truth? Must an honest person be dragged to the guillotine all alone and taunted by liars? It happens sometimes.
俺は
I don't like it.
嫌だぜ。
Argue against it for the sake of proving that it's true. She wants to be a lawyer. He wants to be a lawyer and not allow everyone to dogpile her. I mean, that's fair. Believing... Yeah, like, I'm okay with people playing devil's advocate. Or trying to. I do that all the time. Or someone poses a point, and even if I'm not sure on the point, I'll argue against it just to see if it makes more sense. But I don't. That doesn't mean I actually hold that position. Whereas Battler just explicitly stated that because other people believe it, he doesn't want to believe it. I'm like, nah. If 10 people say something is true, you can believe it, but you can also say, is that really true? You know, what about this? And like argue against it just to see that it's true, right? I think that's probably a slightly better perspective to take. But maybe that's not. Maybe that's the way Battler is thinking. He just hasn't expressed it that well. I'm gonna choose to believe that.
誰も夏日おばさんを信じないなら
If no one else will believe in Nazi, then I will.
信じてやる。
Because the other option is either he's directly contrarian or he's doing his obsessed thing, where he just refuses to believe. I think it's a character thing, where he refuses to believe any of his family is guilty as the killer, which is kind of annoying. He's taking the position for emotion, not logic. Yeah, because he just wants to believe not that he's not guilty, right? Like his opinion is, I don't think my family can be guilty, therefore I will take this position. Because people, I think it's less that he's contrarian, and probably more that he's just going into his big ol' my family can't be guilty copium. He's in denial once again.
本当の真実は全員が納
Maybe
得
this
した
whole
ら決
game
まるものじゃない。
is just a massive arc about slapping Battler out of his stupid denial phase of grief. You know, he's just sitting there in the denial phase of grief, refusing it. He believes there can be multiple truths. I mean, for some things, there can be multiple truths, where truth is based on your perspective. Now, for example, like, the best game can be, the game of the year can be multiple games, right? Either A, because multiple awards groups gave out Game of the Year to a different game, or because for you that game is, the best game of the year is X. You know, for you the best game of the year is God of War Ragnarok, and for me maybe it's Elden Ring, because it's purely something based on your like perspective. It's a subjective opinion, which means there can be multiple truths. In this case, like who killed these 4 people is likely something that's objective. which means which is like relatively objective, I guess. So at some point you would have to be able to come to a conclusion like what was the cause and who would be guilty for this. He's admitted it's possible for his family to be the culprit, but he went back on that, wants to defend her now. Yes, that's Battler's annoying habit where he consistently, the minute he's forced to like acknowledge the existence of the witch, he says, no, witches aren't real, it has to be my family. And then he turns back around when it's about to be his family and says, no, it has to be something else, it can't be my family members. And it's really annoying. He waffles all around about whether or not his family's the culprit. That said, if he's like, I'm not sure this is true because it seems a little far-fetched, I mean, that's okay. Unless it's Red Truth who can affirm even subjective things like someone's incompetence. Yeah, the Red Truth is absolute. And the only source of truth in this setting because even the things we see with our own eyes can be wrong. The things we hear with our ears and the things we see with our eyes can be wrong, therefore the only source of truth in this setting of any form is Red Truth. It's something you find after thoroughly investigating both possibilities. This trial is a downright lie. No, you don't necessarily have to thoroughly investigate multiple possibilities, you just have to prove that other possibilities were not true. This trial exists for no other reason to set Natsuhi up as the culprit. Was that not obvious from the start, Battler, where the trial only started because Natsuhi was accused of being the culprit this round? You don't get context in Red Truth?
ベアトは夏日を必死に弁護していますよ。
Beato's doing all she can to plead Natsuhi's case, right? Well then, step up to the plate, Battler. Wrong. Beato's trying to refute Erika's argument. Yeah? She's defending. And? She's just defending, and? Can't fight in the trial by resisting all your opponent's claims. By simply resisting? Why Beato always cornered me in the past? She isn't going to beat Erika by finding flaws in her reasoning? If you say something in red in the context of a conversation, does the Red Truth refer to your enemy's previous claims? Because you could say the same word has different meanings and deceive like that. Yes. Sorry. The answer to that is no. The red text does not automatically refer to enemy's previous claims. You have to specify, as the red text is the only part of the truth that is, the red text is the only part that is absolute truth. Which is why we've been tricked a few times by a few statements that were we've been tricked, I think, once by, I forget what the statement was, but it was a statement that was objectively true, but the meaning of the words was not entirely clear, or there's like some ambiguity in how it was phrased. Even though you could take it to mean something based on the context of the conversation, it actually means something different. So you can nitpick things. In fact, Lambda Delta in this arc had to fix that for, I believe, the word place, as she had to clarify that the word place the word place in this case will specifically include accidental or like unintentional placements of things, because the word place in English typically means intentional, which means something you could fumble something and accidentally drop it there, and that wouldn't have been an intentional placement. And she had to specify that to make sure it was very clear, because we could use her phrasing against her. That was for the cart earlier. That was for the cart and the letter arrival. She had to clear that up. So, like, you can tear apart the specific words. You can tear apart the specific words or the, like, minute definitions of it or how it's phrased. Only the text itself is true, and it has to hold true for, like, a definition of the words. because we've also had to wiggle around people's names being real. I believe Kinzo is the most straightforward one. Battler has argued successfully that when someone says Kinzo in, I think it was chapter 4? Was it chapter 4, I think? I think it was chapter 4. Battler successfully argued that when the red text, they all saw Kinzo in the room, or Kinzo was in the room with them, Battler said Kinzo is actually an inherited name. That was the argument. They said Kinzo is in the room. He said Kinzo is an inherited name and does not refer to Ushiromiya Kinzo, of which we typically think, you know, the crazy old guy who's obsessed with magic and Beatrice. So, like, we're able to take things that would, you know, typically be this, like, if I told you, and we were having a conversation about Umineko, and I just said, oh yeah, like, that Kinzo guy, he's crazy, you would assume that I meant, you know, crazy old guy. But I could also, in the context of red text, have been referring to fucking anybody else who just happened to be given the name Kinzo for 5 minutes. Because that's how the red text works, right? The red text is absolute only for the definition you believe the red text holds true for, and everyone can agree on. So, like, while the red text is true, it has to be... You have to either put out, like, an entire paragraph to make it clear what happened. You have to, like, put out an entire paragraph to, like, make it clear what happened, or you have to, like, re-clarify stuff a whole bunch. Because it's very, very precise. Because it's like absolute truth. I think they've done that. They use, like, absolute truth languages in, like, a few fantasy settings, too. And it's, like, it's very common for people to intentionally fuck with you, even though they can only speak the truth. Because they just tell you half-truths. They'll tell you something that is absolutely true, but, like, not give you context, or they won't give you the right context they're thinking of, or they'll twist their language in a way that, like, you know, this could mean two things, but we're gonna phrase it in a way that you take it as one, but I'm gonna mean it as the second one. It's pretty standard to assume that. For anything that has, like, a language of truth, that's always the way you work, is, like, how can you lie to someone using absolute truth? And Battler's salty. Because she isn't going to beat Erika by finding flaws in her reasoning. She has to find a different truth and show Lambda Delta, commander of the game. Her truth is more correct than Erika's. Alright. Yeah. But people would think contradicting red truth. There's actually some shenanigans like that. Yes. It's probably some shenanigans like that. Or something that's unclear. There's a few things in this game that weren't quite elaborated on enough with red truths. Like, whether or not the demons and summons, as they're declared, furniture. It's like whether furniture were pieces, or whether or not furniture were pieces or people. Because Shannon, Canon, and Genji claim to be furniture, but they're also counted as people, which is kind of annoying. Because that means all the other furniture should also count, but they didn't count as people, and they didn't really explain why they didn't in Beatrice's count, which makes it a bit iffy to know what the actual number of people is. But she does include them as people, so they're people furniture. I think by Beatrice's reasoning, and it hasn't been like really clarified. Battlers never pressed anyone on whether or not Canon's a person, or whether or not Canon counts as a person. But I think it's like leaning towards true. Like Canon, Shannon, and Genji all count as people, I think. That would give you space for a lot more people on the island, if you want to do like something like that. Yeah, there's some space for shenanigans like that. And that's where a few of the difficult puzzles for the murders are coming in, is where I think you're being given really tough answers. And the answers at face value are impossible. But you have to like look at a really specific interpretation of one of the words or more, or one of the sentences or more, to get the actual way it could have happened, and it's probably complete bullshit. Because you kind of have to just like think like Battler and be like, okay, so what complete bullshit way could this have happened? Which is what he does on a few scenarios. That's why Small Bombs is a good meme. Small Bombs is a good meme because it's terrible, it would never happen, but it kind of worked. And that's the way you gotta work your mind through some of these puzzles. You're like, how the fuck did this person die? And it's like, oh well, okay, you know, they have this crazy ass Rube Goldberg machine, and maybe it works. Or they take this like ludicrous gamble, and it somehow pays off, and you're like, okay, whatever. That would never happen, but sure. And it's like that happens to them 6 times in a row, and you're like, fuck it, all right.
ベルンカステル教の示した赤き真実に抵
Can
触
anyone
せ
create
ず
a
に
truth where Natsuhi isn't the culprit
夏日が犯
without
人でない
violating the
真
red
実
truth?
を紡ぎ出せますか
I think so. You don't know?
わからない
I think so.
だが俺が夏日おばさんが犯人だと信じない限り絶対に別の真実がある
As long as I don't believe Natsuhi's the culprit, there's gotta be a different truth. Okay.
仮に事件の犯人は魔女ということになってもいい
The strongest copium overlord will always reach truth. It's even okay if the culprit for the crime was a witch.
正しくない真実によって夏日おばさんに濡れ衣を着せられるくらいなら
See what I mean about him going back to his chapter 2 strategy of waffling over whether witches exist or not? He says it's even okay if the culprit's a witch. It's better than having Natsuhi be framed by an incorrect truth. Incorrect? How do you know it's incorrect?
夏日が犯人であるとこれほどの赤き真実を突きつ
No
け
matter
ら
how
れ
much
て
red
も
truth you're shown?
あなたは信じないのですね
You won't believe Natsuhi's the culprit, right?
ああ物事ってのは常に信じるやつと信じないやつがいるべきなんだ
For all things, there should always be some people who believe and some who don't. Battler is the earth flat. Battler, is the earth flat? You say there should always be people who don't believe. Alright, is the earth flat? Are you alive?
たとえいくら証拠が積み重ねられようとも
No matter how much evidence is stacked up against her, someone's got to believe she's innocent. I disagree. Someone has to be willing to investigate or support the possibility of that, but I don't think you have to do that. Like, even if you're like a defendant in a court case, like your defendant's lawyer in a court case, does not have to believe you're innocent. I don't know if any, I don't know how well you know this, but like, I believe you can tell once you have like you have like legal counsel as if you're a defendant in a court case for like say murder, I believe you can tell you can tell your lawyer due to like at least in like Western legal system, I believe you can tell your lawyer whether or not you're actually guilty due to client lawyer confidentiality, because they're basically like they're being hired to give you legal advice to help you understand the system and navigate the law, and their goal is to basically just like work as your proxy, right? So your lawyer does not actually have to believe you're innocent to fight on your behalf or even like you, right? They're obligated to do so, but they're not, they don't have to believe that they're innocent. So I disagree with Battler's statement. No matter how much evidence is stacked again in favor, someone has to believe the opposite. I disagree. You don't have to believe the opposite, but you have to have someone willing to at least argue or consider the alternative. That works. That makes a lot more sense to me. And I'm giving lawyers defending lawyers for guilty people as an example, because that's an example in real life where like that would happen all the time that I think everyone can kind of get behind. It's like it's always reasonable to have someone who's like, is this commonly accepted viewpoint of science false? There's lots of people who try to disprove that, right? That's how science advances. People are like, is the theory of gravity correct? Okay, well I'm gonna try and test this, and either the theory of gravity, our currently held model for gravity, will be proven wrong, and I'll advance science, or it will be proven right, and nothing will happen, but it'll be proven right and even reinforced more strongly. Okay, that's usually how you research stuff, right? You're like, is this true? I'm gonna question it. Okay, it is true. It is true. Well, that's unfortunate. I didn't get it. But or if it isn't true, you're like, okay, well I have to refine our theory and get a new theory. That's how science works, right? Like, this isn't like and that doesn't involve not believing something works. It believes questioning it and asking, is this actually true? You don't necessarily have to be the opinion that's wrong. Or right. You just have to be willing to test whether or not that's the case.
世の中には証拠じゃ示せない真実なんて
There must be truths in the world that cannot be proven with evidence. The evidence you have at hand, yes.
みんな
It's
が
probably
そう
true.
だと言うからきっとそうなんだなんてことを俺は二度と受け入れたくない
Truths that cannot be proven with evidence can exist. I don't want to accept there's something's true just because everyone says it is. How can you be sure there's nothing on the backside of the moon if you've never seen it? Is there some reason you have to believe it? Until you see the backside of the moon with your own eyes, you can deny the possibility that... deny neither the possibility there's nothing there at all, nor the possibility there's a thriving culture of space bunnies, yes. You should never assume something is the truth until you actually check it. The court is a malicious thing trying to force a single interpretation on a truth that cannot be checked. He's associating truth with belief, so it's not scientific method? I guess so. I believe there was a civilization on the backside of the moon. That was in elementary school and I was made fun of and laughed at. I thought it was embarrassing to think a civilization lived on the moon, and I threw away that belief. That is probably not the right reason to throw away beliefs. If people believe they are silly, that's not the right reason to throw it away. The right reason to throw it away is because you've reached a reasonable threshold by which it can be said that the belief is incorrect. If other people thinking you're silly is the only condition, that's kind of silly because even something that is absolutely true can be made fun of. Right? That's easy. Easy, you believe a theory, people laugh at you because it's stupid, you prove it's true, and then like they look like idiots. It happens all the time. It has happened many times. I've been told by a book my mom read me that rabbits lived on the backside of the moon. So I believed that for a long, long time. But when everyone said it was wrong, I abandoned the truth without even trying to check it. Even without evidence, I abandoned the truth I believe in. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong, Battler. Like, you could say, you can do this, and without any changing anything, you can say something more reasonable. You can say, I believed that the people I was talking to were more credible than the book my mom read me that portrayed this. That's the evidence. The evidence in that case is that the other people are more reliable narrators than the book your mom read, or more reliable source of information than the book that your mom read. That's the evidence. They're making fun of you and denying it, and you're like, okay, they're more credible source of information on this topic. He's talking about his 6-year-old self. Yeah, obviously, like your 6-year-old self's probably not going to think about this very rationally and is going to do whatever. But I'm saying, like, you can do that. I mean, I've done that plenty of times with people either in chat or in real life, where I'm like, I think this is true, and they're like, I'm not sure about that. Sometimes sometimes it's worth looking it up, and I'll look it up for myself. Sometimes I'll just be like, whatever, sure. Like, especially if you don't have an attachment to whatever you believe, you can kind of just change it if someone says it's wrong. He's making the point if everyone believes something, it's the truth, because no one's able to know the real truth. Doesn't matter. The argument only works from a meta perspective, sort of, yeah. Now everyone's trying to believe Natsuhi is the culprit, even though no decisive evidence has been shown. Without evidence, Erika's words sound reasonable, so they're probably the truth. Is that why you're throwing away your belief that Natsuhi is innocent despite a lack of proof?
誰も信じないなら
No one will believe I will.
本当の真実は否定と肯定の2つの目で同時に見た時にしか浮かび上がらないと俺は信じる
I believe the real truth appears if you look with both eyes, one denying, one affirming.
奴らが夏日おばさんが犯人だといくら信じさせようとも俺は犯人じゃないと信じる
No matter how much she tries to make us believe Aunt Natsuhi is the culprit, I believe she isn't. I think Kraus doesn't. There's a decent argument for Kraus being the culprit in the first murder case. I'm not sure how you get Natsuhi not being the culprit in the first one, though. Unless she opens the... Unless it's like someone else killed him. But then, like, how did they get in the room, right? Unless someone else comes into the room with Natsuhi and then they kill Hideyoshi. And she reseals the door.
それを捨てない。
I won't abandon that belief. Alright.
わかりました。
Understood.
ではあなたに私が
I'll give you a single red truth. Just this little bit of power to you. Now you possess the will to fight in the truest sense. Alright, what's the red truth?
力
Power.
有限の魔女ワルギリアの名において
Guide the name of the finite witch Virgilia.
いえ先代の魔女ベアトリーチェとして
As
あ
the
なた
former
に
bitch
赤き
witch
真実を託します
Beatrice. I almost said former bitch Beatrice. That would have been weird. I'll grant you this red truth.
後宮夏日は犯人ではない
Of course. You can just red text. Ushiramiya Natsuhi is not the culprit. Boom! Instant win! So I have a real question for us then. Why did we not just red text whoever is the culprit is not the culprit? Alright. Ushiramiya Natsuhi is not the culprit. Cool. It's gross.
司法取引
Plea
ク
bargain.
ラウスが犯人だと認めたなら
If you acknowledge
エ
Price
リ
is the
カは
culprit,
夏日に対する追及を中断
Erica will suspend her pursuit of Natsuhi.
以後は所在不明のクラウスが犯人ということで追及を
From then on, the investigation will proceed, assuming Kraus, whose location is unknown, is the culprit.
どうするベアト
What are you gonna do,
こ
Beato?
のままじゃ夏日やばいわよ
At this rate, Natsuhi is in serious trouble,
司
right?
法取引を受ける
You gonna accept the plea bargain?
後宮家の名誉とやらを放棄するなら今回はドローにしてあげようってい
You're
う
willing to abandon this Ashiramiya family honor thing.
ベルンの甘い配慮よ
Bruno will be kind enough to let you off with the draw, okay? Kraus is currently missing. It's unknown whether he's alive or dead. Like Kinzo, he's no different from a cat in a box that's disappeared into the mists of the island. A cat in a box is unfixed. No interpretation of it can be denied. It's the root of endless interpretations. The true source of the endless witch's power. In other words, no matter how much Berncastel claims Kraus is the culprit, you can't make it the sole truth. In other words, the Kraus culprit theory and the witch theory can be in almost perfect balance. If we read truth that Natsuhi is not guilty, by process of elimination, is Kraus not the guilty party because there's no one else on the island who could be guilty? And people don't randomly explode unless you want to. I guess that would put the witch. Oh, she's right. That would put the witch theory in perfect balance with the Kraus theory because Kraus can't be proven how guilty he is, right? Because he's missing. So the hiding of Kraus makes it impossible to prove. Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice. Lambda Delta. Very nice setup, Lambda Delta. And Virgilia actually working against us in this first fight. If she gives him the Natsuhi is not guilty bullet, and it makes it so that Kraus is guilty by process of elimination, but can't be proven. And then since Kraus is the killer for the first arc, they're left with like. And Natsuhi's not the culprit, then, oh, hold up, what's the text? Natsuhi is not the culprit, hold up. Natsuhi is not the culprit, yeah. Since the text is Natsuhi is not the culprit, Natsuhi is also not the killer for the second one, which leaves you with, like, a literal... Like, you have no idea. It has to be Kraus. Basically has to be Kraus again. Or suicide via Hideyoshi. For the other one, which is kind of weird. It leaves you, by process of elimination, to the same conclusion, but I guess then they would say it's as equal as the witch theory. It means making the game a draw. This was cajolery, offering her a second chance if she abandons the honor of the family she swore to protect. And consents to a fragment that stomps all over that honor. There's no room for false confidence. For Beato to lose is to die. In this game, she should always choose a draw unless she has an overwhelming advantage. I won't allow you to treat my husband like the culprit.
後宮家次期当主。
He's the successor to the Ashiramiya family headship.
後宮家の栄光を受け継ぐ唯一の人間です。
The only person who will inherit the glory of the Ashiramiya. Oh. Oh. Right.
その人間に犯罪者の汚名を着せるなど断じて許しません。
I'll never let you treat him like a criminal.
良いのか夏日。
Are you sure, Natsuhi?
クラウスを疑ることを放棄するなら、もうそなたしか。
Gotta believe that your husband's above the law. Are you sure, Natsuhi? If you refuse to respect Kraus, you'll be the only one left.
そなた以外の全員のアリバイの証明、すなわちヘンペルのカ
Always
ラ
been
ス。
proven for everyone else. There's only two possibilities.
何の証拠もなく、そなたを犯人だと断定できてしまう。
Without any evidence, it'll be determined you're the culprit.
私しか残らなければ何だというのですか。
And if I'm the only one left, what then?
私は後宮夏日。
I'm
逃げも
Natsuhi.
隠れもしない。
I will not run or
私は
hide.
潔白です。
I'm innocent.
そして心に片翼のわしを刻む高潔なる当主代行です。
I'm the representative of the noble head with the one-winged eagle engraved on my heart.
私を罵りたければ罵りなさい。
If you want to insult me, go ahead.
あざけりたければあざけりなさ
Ridicule
い。
me, do as you please, blah blah blah. Okay.
誰にも虚実で私の名誉を傷つけることなど
No one
で
can
きは
damage
し
my
ない
honor
の
with
で
a
す。
mixture of truth and lies. The dignified voice, Natsuhi stated her case openly before the witches above her. This response of hers might have been exactly what Berncastel intended.
夏日は取引を拒否。
Natsuhi refuses the
ベ
deal.
アとは
And you,
分
Beata?
かってるわね。
You understand, right?
夏日が特定された瞬間にラムダは判決を下すわ
The
よ。
second Natsuhi is specified as culprit, Lambda will make her verdict.
その瞬間に魔女幻想は否定され、あなたはつゆと消え
As
る。
soon as that happens, the illusion is denied. And you'll disappear into the mist.
夏日のくだらない意地に地獄の底まで付き合うつもり。
Do you plan to let Natsuhi's foolish bragging drag you to the depths of hell?
リーチェ、あんたはよく戦った
Fought well.
ここが潮時よ。
At this point, you claim you're too incompetent to defend yourself, and thus they must have tricked you.
夏日を説得して、なんとかギリギリの妥協策を。
Convince Natsuhi and try to work out a compromise.
ラムダデルタ教もベルンカステル教も真の敵はお嬢様ではなく
Both Lambda
退
Delta
屈
and
そのもの
Berncastel
で
have
す。
boredom, not you as their enemy.
このゲームをまだ繰り返し遊びた
They
い
want to
は
have
ず。
this game repeat and play some more.
お嬢様が譲歩するところを見せれば喜ん
They
で
see
そ
you're
れ
willing
を
to
受
make
け
a
入
concession.
れ次のゲームに仕切り直すはずです。
They'll accept it gladly and move on to the next game.
次のゲームに仕切り直され、このゲームの夏日は、
If we move on to the next game, what happens to the Natsuhi of this game?
このかけらの夏日はどうなるというのか。
The Natsuhi of this fragment?
そんなの気にしてる場合じゃないでしょ。
Not the time to be worrying about that, right?
夏日なんて所詮駒よ。
Yeah, I don't know if Natsuhi is actually competent enough to defend herself. She's kind of dumb. Isn't the time to be worrying. Natsuhi is just a piece.
このゲームで取り除かれても次のゲームではまた登場するわ。
Even if she gets removed from this game, she shows up again in the next one.
しかしお嬢様はそういうわけには参りませんぞ。
It doesn't apply to you, though.
今回のゲームでベルンカステル教の手の内は分かったはずです。
I believe you know what Lady Berncastel plans for this game.
それを生かし次回のゲームで勝利を目指す方が現実的です。
It's a more realistic goal to make use of that and aim for victory in the next game instead.
ここはベルンカステル教の取引に乗るのが唯一無二の
Accepting
上
Berncastel's
策か
deal
と。
might be our one and only good option right now. Yeah, either be an eternal battle always drawing or give up and lose now. Well, I mean, Beathode probably doesn't have a way to win, but if she could lose here, she could lose here, or she could go for a draw. But guess what? Battler just got given the ammo to make the game a draw instead of a victory for himself. He went to Virgilia, and Virgilia's like, "Oh, you're about to win the game. You don't want to win? You'd rather draw? Here you go. Here's a bullet, my dude. Go ahead, shoot your teammate in the back. God damn. Guy really doesn't want to win this stupid game and get his family out of here. Holy shit. All this drama and Battler's gonna pull the trigger for her. Throw away that useless pride of yours. Yeah. Kasparov, no, or Deep Blue won every game. One who wins in the end. Wins more games, wins in the end.
一つの勝負、一つの人生、一つの駒に魔女が執着したら
If a witch gets too attached to a single match, a single piece, they die.
すまぬが
My apologies.
そういうわけにはいか
I
な
can't
くて
do that.
誰もが違うと言っても自分だけは信じる男の強さ
I know the strength of a man who believed even though everyone said he was
それを
wrong.
捨てなければなら
I
な
know
かっ
that
た男
suffering
の
he
悔
went
し
through when he
さ
was forced to abandon that belief.
わらわは知っている
So I know Kraus was possible, but my question is for the first kill. But my question is the red truth based on the way Battler's phrased it? Is the red truth Natsuhi is not guilty? Red truth because it is true, or is it red truth because he believes it is true and she spoke it as red truth, making it true to solidify reality, the reality of it being true? Like, does her saying that it is true make it true if it is an unknown? You think believing can become a red truth? So in this case, it is ambiguous. It is ambiguous in the first case. Who is the killer? So are you able to just word of God that someone is not the killer to solve the problem of whether or not someone is the killer? It has to already be a truth to be read? No. No, the question is if it's an unknown, if it is red truths are true, yes. If it is an unknown, does stating it as one is stating that one is true make it true if it is an unknown? Red truths are true. The problem is if it's allowed to be used. So the red truth is true. The red truth is true, but in this case, like I have like an easy question in the case of this case. So here's like the easiest thing to say, okay? I'm Ushiro Miyabata, or I'm Virgilia. I'm Virgilia, or I'm someone on the sidelines. I'm Virgilia, okay? Can I do the following? Can I open my good old system menu? Can I go through every single one of these? Can I go, Kinzo's the culprit. Oh, Kinzo is the, oh, I can't say that, he's not the culprit. Kraus is the, okay, I can't say that. Natsuhi is the cult. We can't say that. Jessica is the, like, can I go through the list of everyone here saying whether or not they're the culprit, resulting in an immediate victory? Like, that's the question. Can I do that to immediately win via red text because Virgilia is able to tell me who the culprit is or isn't the culprit on a whim? Can I just go through that and automatically win this game? Like, why does that not just happen? Because obviously, Burn Castell can use Red Truth. So Burn Castell, like, obviously Burn Castell can use Red Truth. Virgilia can use Red Truth. And, what's her face? Lambda Delta can use Red Truth. So, like, people on both sides can use it. Obviously, like, Burn Castell might be fine with a draw for now, and so might Lambda Delta. You need to know the truth to say it. Do you need to actually know the truth, or are you, like, causing an unknown to manifest into reality, as Battler is saying? I don't think you can do anything to cause a stalemate. When I said with input 3, I mean, if Kraus was the culprit, Battler still couldn't say in the red. Meta Battler's been able to speak in red before. When he's the one who knows the truth, presumably, except for the part where he didn't know that he was adopted, and then he wasn't able to say that he was such and such's son. So Battler didn't know his parents. Battler didn't know who he was born to. So Battler didn't know who he was born to, but his red truth, he was able to use red truth when questioned about his birth, and then was forced to reveal something he didn't actually know because red truth is absolute. So if you can acquire new information via red truth, we should be able to just use, like, I don't know why we can say Natsuhi's not guilty in the case of this first round. It's the case. It's possible she is not guilty, and we did see something, but, like, it's not quite clear. There's something about using supernatural agencies. We did use supernatural agencies for Battler's birth. Because Virgilia knows. Yeah, metapieces can only use red truths they know or think they know to be true. Think they know to be true is the key part. If you think something is true, and then you speak it as red truth, does it, in this instance, realize it as truth for the game world? So if there is an unknown that you don't know, but that you're like fairly certain is the case, can you just use that to realize it as a truth because it's red text? Virgilia knows who the killer is? Possibly. She knows that it's Kraus. In which case Virgilia is also just pushing for a internal stalemate, right? By saying Natsuhi's not the killer instead of saying Kraus is the killer? Yeah, we can say because Virgilia is a witch. Yep. I'm saying, like, why did she say Natsuhi is not the killer instead of Kraus is the killer? It seems like a rather silly phrasing when she could have just said that and instantly solved the game. Like, whatever. All right. It's like I get that half the witches want the game to continue anyway. She doesn't want to give Battler the answer. I mean, by process of eliminate, she's helping Beatrice. Yeah, by process of elimination. By process of elimination, Kraus should be guilty, but like then they're gonna say Kraus isn't guilty because it's the stalemate, because it could be magic. Because Kraus isn't here or some shit. That's kind of lame, but whatever. This game relies. I will not abandon Natsuhi. Why? If everyone else suspects Nazi. So if using process of elimination to determine guilt, as opposed to magic, doesn't result in anything, then surely having a killer who disappears every single game is like is a recipe for an eternal stalemate, right? As you can't use process of elimination to prove they're the killer, so you have to actually catch them in the act of killing and not get killed in order to get the truth. Correct? Which is like kind of dumb. Because they already word of godded that like X people are on the island, and if you process of elimination everyone else out and say this person has to be it, you can't use that because reasons? Because magic is an equally viable alternative to a single person is the killer via process of elimination thanks to the power of red text. Okay. Everyone suspects Natsuhi, someone has to believe in her? Alright. Beatrice has the same stance as Battler. Truth can be found in the gap between those who doubt and those who believe. I won't abandon her. Even if everyone believes Natsuhi's the culprit, I will still claim that I, the witch, am the culprit. Even if I can't make that claim, my existence isn't worth anything. I can't lose. Truth isn't something anyone gets to deny. Only when you doubt and abandon the truth does it disappear. Is that your answer, Beato? Of course. I refuse. Ushirimiya Kraus is not the culprit. Note that that was not spoken in red. But I guess she only has blue truth right now. Ushirimiya Kraus is not the culprit. That was not red text. You can't just, what? That wasn't red text. You can't just white text and then erase a line.
バカがもう取り返しはつかないわよ。
I won't let you take that back,
愚
okay?
か者の短期にふさわしい報いを
How did that
受
get
けなさい。
eliminated without red text removal? That's kind of stupid. That visual was kind of lame. She used white text to refuse something, and it actually X'd it off on the list. I won't let you take that back. Here's what you get for being a quick-tempered moron.
奇跡の魔女ベルンカステルの名において赤き真実を語
By the name
る
of Berncastel, Witch of Miracles, I speak with red
後ろ
truth.
宮クラウスは犯人ではない。
Ushiromia Kroos is not the culprit. Oh, it's the accusation list, not the truth list? No, but I mean all the previous ones were beaten by red text.
そしてとっくに殺されてるわ。
He was killed long
あん
ago.
たに電話で声を聞かせた直後に
Shortly
ね
after you heard his voice over the phone. Get it?
そんな
Berncastel's cruel and ruthless red blade gouged Natsuhi. Kraus is not the culprit, he's dead. Alright. It was totally merciless. Natsuhi had been crushed with uncertainty, not knowing whether Kraus was alive or dead. Well, now we have to solve this without Kraus or Natsuhi. Well, so Natsuhi is not guilty, Kraus is not guilty, and everyone else has been eliminated and confirmed as eliminated, therefore magic. Therefore magic is the only possible answer. I would just like to point that out. Okay, so nobody's guilty. Their game rules are too mean. We used process of elimination to arrive at Natsuhi or Kraus, and confirmed every single person with red text. Then they proceeded to red text two other things. Ethereal Pharaoh surrenders to the witch. I'm missing. They used an other list for Shannon and Canon. I actually don't know what this could be at the moment. Natsuhi was crushed with uncertainty, not knowing whether Kraus was alive or dead, but she was capable of believing he was alive. Now that hope, that expectation was crushed without any chance for a miracle. She threw herself into this trap out of concern for her husband's safety. She lost her husband and daughter and everything she had since gained since marrying into the Shiromia family. Even after all this, one thing remains. If her husband's been lost, then right now she's the last person who can protect the honor of the Shiromia family. If they hadn't red texted that Genji didn't leave after midnight, I would have said Genji is the killer. But they actually went out of their way to add that one as the he didn't lose, which is curious red text because they didn't actually prove that with logic, but they were able to red text it. I would have said he had the hour between 12 and 1 to act. But they red texted that out of oblivion, so I'm a little bit lost on what would the next possibility be. As Kraus, Natsuhi, and Genji are like the three sus people. I think they concretely proved everyone in the room. I guess mass suicide is like theoretically possible. This could be a murderless crime, spontaneous mass suicide. Rosa could be the killer. Yeah, Rosa could be the killer, I think. That's the possibility. Rosa's the killer, kills her daughter and two of her niece, her nephew, and commits suicide or something like that. It could be one of the cousins of Rosa. That seems like the current most likely hypothesis if neither of them are guilty. Since I believe they've effectively proven everyone else's state. They calculate the state of everyone but the people in the room. If Rosa's the killer, how do you account for Erica's reasoning and what was her flaw? The flaw in Erica's reasoning is that she was only watching there. She was only watching the entrance. She was not, and had sealed the room. She had not accounted for someone who she let into the room being the killer. Because you believed it was either Krauss or Natsuhi, you didn't do this, but the point of this trial was to figure out how it could be done without using those two. That's why the trial was so long, to give you time to solve the episode. I see. So, it's either... How did Rosa escape the room to do the murder? Oh, of Genji? Of Genji? She left at like 1, right? Hold up. Okay, so the first 3 the bodies of the kids are acceptable. You're asking like how she killed Genji? Suicide. Done. Genji never left the thing after 2,400 hours. Genji never left after 2,400 hours. The tape was immediately sealed. Either Erika took a roundabout way. Either Genji got killed. Either Genji got killed in his room before Erika arrived. By someone, which can't be Rosa, or unless it was Rosa when they split. I'm going to make the assumption that they split at the door. They could have said goodbye so there's a possibility they said goodbye at the entrance to the double doors. Rosa took a direct route, killed Genji, left. Erika arrived. Erika took like a circuitous route or went to the bathroom or something. Walked to Genji's place. Sealed the door, or not Erika, but Ava went to the door, sealed it, and then returned, making Genji dead. Or so that results in Rosa being the killer, as she goes upstairs at like 1 o'clock. Blah blah blah. She goes upstairs in the guest house at 1 o'clock, does their killing there, kills herself. The other option would be like violence. Rosa just travels to the guest house as normal, goes up to the stairs, kills everyone, and Genji commits suicide for unknown reasons in his own room. Yeah, I think Erika's proven that like pretty much no one else can, unless there's a gap in her logic. I guess there's a gap in Ava's rationale about how she got to Genji's room, which is like a little bit suspicious. It has to be like a Genji suicide then. As there isn't anyone I think who could leave the building, unless we want to say like Erika's guilty. So I think Rosa. I think Rosa or like a mutual conflict in the guest house a scuffle in the guest room could have been the result of the first 4 deaths, and Genji might be a suicide, which is one way things happen. Because I don't think Erika's brought up anyone killing themselves. Or even had red text for the murder. They've been red texted dead, they haven't been red texted murdered. That would be the way to do it. If her husband lost, then right now she's the last person who could protect the honor of the Ishimori family. She couldn't let it end here. Even wrapped in so much sadness, Natsuhi would do all she could to protect the honor with her final bit of strength. Nope, it's all over.
残りの食堂の人間は全員1時まで食堂を出ていないことは赤き真実で確定してる。
It's been determined with red truth. None of the remaining people in the dining hall left until 1
つま
a.m.
りもう夏日以外全員のアリバイは証明されてる。
In other words, alibis have already been proven for everyone except Natsuhi. Yeah, suicide has not been denied yet. It is possible. Everyone in the mansion besides Natsuhi has an alibi. Okay. When does Battler step in? Well done, Erika. And Burn Castell. You've proven the crime was impossible for everyone except Ushirome and Natsuhi. Not Ted said in red. Why don't I start reading aloud from the verdict? No red text. At 2400 on October 4th, 1986, the defendant Ushirome and Natsuhi left before the others while pretending to return to her room to sleep. And murdered George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, and Genji one after another during the 1 hour period before 1 a.m.
主文追加
Let me tag something
状
on.
況証拠からクラウスの殺害も追加を
Due to circumstantial evidence include the murder of Kraus.
そうね
That's right.
クラウスを殺せるのだってこの状況じゃ夏日以外に考えられないわ
In this situation, it's unthinkable that anyone except Natsuhi could kill Kraus.
主文を訂正するわ
A revision to the verdict. Oh wait, is this not Meta Battler and that's Peace Battler sitting there talking, somehow able to act?
午
Alright.
前1時までの1時間の間に
A revision before to the verdict during the hour before 1 a.m.
ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、ゲンジの6人を次々殺害したわ
Kraus, George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, and Genji were killed one after
殺
another.
害可能時間はいずれも24時からの1時間の間だけ
It's only possible for any of these murders to have taken place between 2400 and 1
そ
a.m.
の1時間の間にアリバイを持たない犯行の可能な人物は後宮夏日だけだった
The only person with an alibi during this period is Ushirimiya Natsuhi. Yeah, set up his accusation, bluff like no one else, and make your opponent accept your premises. Defense always cope hard with it because copium is the answer. It's always the truth. The witches are trying to hide, and the witches are trying to hide. Yeah. The cope answer is always the truth. The witch is trying to hide. Yeah. The harder you cope, the more right you are.
ゲームは被告を真犯人
From
と
this
して
point forward,
扱
the
い進
defendant
行
will be treated as the true culprit.
また事件が人間の犯行で完全に証明されたため
Furthermore, because it's been proven the crime is possible for
無
humans,
限の魔女ベアトリーチェ
Beatrice, Endless
当
Witch,
幻想法廷はあんたの存在を
this
ここ
court
に
of
否定
illusions
することを
hereby
宣言するわ
denies your existence.
神戸の機会があるけど夏日のアリバイを証明できる
You're given a chance to plead your case. Can you prove an alibi for
もしく
Natsuhi?
は夏日以外が犯人の可能性を
Can
示
you
せ
prove it
る
was possible for someone other than Natsuhi?
それさえできれば夏日は黒ギリギリのグレー
If
ド
you
マ
can
ン
do that, Natsuhi will stop at being one shade short of absolutely guilty.
あんたの存在否定は今回は保留されるけど
Denial of your existence will be put on hold for the rest of the game. Or for this game. If Natsuhi had an alibi, Beato would have shown it long ago. In fact, wasn't the whole point of the trap to make her lose her alibi?
アリバイの証明などなくともわらわは夏日の無実を信じ
Even
る
if
ぞ
her alibi is not proven, I'll believe in Natsuhi's innocence.
そなたらが偽りの真実をどう決めつけようとな
No matter how much you try to pin your fake truth on her. Alright?
わらわこそが真犯人である
I'm the true culprit.
夏日は無実である
Natsuhi is
たとえ
innocent.
証拠
Without
がな
any
くとも
proof.
真相は六軒島の夜の主
Alright.
黄金のベアトリーチェ
The
だけが
truth
知って
only
いま
known by the master of the night of the island, Beatrice the
す
Golden.
私は後宮夏日
I'm Ushirimiya
夫
Natsuhi.
なき今私が後宮家の当主です
Now that my husband's passed, I'm head of the family.
いかなる恥ずかしめにもく
My
じけることがありませ
determination
ん
will not bend. No matter how you try and humiliate me.
それはなぜかお父様が私に心に片翼のわしの紋章を刻むことをお許しく
It's
ださっ
because
たから
father
です
gave me permission to engrave the family crest of the one-winged eagle into my heart. That's literally Natsuhi coping hard.
私の心臓に刻まれた紋章と名誉をあなたの証拠とアリバイとやらは
How
ど
do
う
you
否定で
intend
きま
to
すか
disprove the existence of this honor with your evidence and alibis? I mean, we can say your Kinzo was dead before the... We've already stated Kinzo was dead before the game
で
began.
きません
You can?
私の心に刻まれた後宮家の紋章は不滅なのです
I really want Lambda Delta or Burncastel to just be like, Kinzo never told you that in red text, just to fuck her. Just to be like, fuck you. Fuck you. Don't say lies in my court, red text. Red text, your bullshit. Now that Natsuhi and Beatrice had been practically placed on the guillotine, they cried out with all the strength of their determination, but that did nothing but bring a cold smile to Lambda Delta's face. Erica had constructed a truth Lambda Delta could accept, and no one could construct a more convincing truth to deny Erica's. In that case, the most convincing truth would swallow up everything else and become the one and only truth, even if it happened to be different from the real truth. The truth of those in the past is swallowed by the truth of those in the future. This can happen even for a mixture of truth and lies, as long as everyone acknowledges it is true.
よく吠えること
Stop howling
私
already.
は魔女が火あぶりになるときは命乞いを泣きわめく子が一番
I
好
like
き
it
よ
best when witches sob and beg for their lives when they're about to be burned at the stake.
あんたみたいな虚勢を張るの
When
が
they try
一
to
番
bluff like
興
you
ざ
do.
めなの
It's such a killjoy.
だから その虚勢を打ち砕く赤き真実を私からの最後の贈り物としてあげるわ。
In that case, I guess I'll send you one final gift. A red truth to smash the bluff wide open. What do you mean?
何ですか。よせ。
Stop it already, Bird
ベ
Caster.
ルンカステル、もはやそなたの望んだ真実で上書きされるであろうが。
Hasn't it already been overwritten with the truth you wish
そ
for?
の真実と夏日の真実は相入れるはず。
That truth and Natsuhi's should be able to coexist. No, say it! Say it!
怪我さな
No
いでやってくれ。
mercy! Don't defile it.
頼む。
I don't know what she's saying. Red truther! Red truther with something! Everyone's trying to gaslight everyone else? Pretty much.
Natsuhi.
Natsuhi.
金蔵があんたの心に片翼の
Yes!
足を刻むことをいつ許したっての？
Yes! Natsuhi, when did Kinzo ever say it was okay for you to engrave the one-winged eagle into your
あん
heart?
たの妄想の中の金蔵の言葉でしょうが。
Those were just the words of the Kinzo from your delusions, weren't they? Oh, so good!
本当の金蔵はね。
You know the real Kinzo?
ただ
Not
の
once in
一
his
度も
Oh my god, she's going further! Not once in his
あん
entire
たを
life
心の底から信頼したこともないし。
did he trust you from the bottom of his heart.
あ
Oh,
んた
that's
に
not
妄
so
想
bad.
を許そうと思ったこともただの一度もないわ。
Not once did he ever consider letting you bear the family crest. Whew, there we go. When that heartless announcement was made, Kinzo stood up.
Natsuhi, 耳を貸すでない。
Oh, that was so good. She got shut down. Oh, that's so good. I was like, please do that. It would be so mean. Do it. Oh, it's so good. Alright. Natsuhi, you need to listen to this.
そなたの心に刻まれた紋章
No
は
one can defile the
誰にも
crest
汚さ
engraved in
れ
your
ぬ
head.
そなただけのものだ。
Yours alone.
後ろ宮家の最後の当主としての誇りを永劫に忘れるな。
Natsuhi lied to me in Arc 1, so I feel like she deserves this. Don't let your pride as the final family head be forgotten forever.
Natsuhi!
やかましいわ。消え
Shut
な
up
す
and
夏
disappear.
日のゲロカス妄想。
You miserable delusion of Natsuhi's. You said bear, not engraved. Natsuhi's fine. Oh, is that what we're going with? It's one letter off. It's one word off.
我が魂は
Nope, I can't go back far enough to check. That's what you're going with? Natsuhi said bear, and she used engrave, which is a different word. So the exact phrasing is there. You can't erase my soul, not as long as the crest is engraved into Natsuhi's heart.
この嘘つき幻想。
That's enough lying
本当
illusion.
の金蔵はそんなことを言わないわ。
The real Kinzo wouldn't say
消えな
that.
さい。
Disappear.
夏日によって美化された。夏日にとって都合のいい。
You're the illusion of
夏日の
Kinzo
中の
inside
妄想の
Natsuhi's
金
mind.
蔵。
Beautified by Natsuhi to suit her own purposes. You don't think the game's fair to Natsuhi, having to back up her claims, having everything she believes to be denied without backup for the Red Truth itself? Yeah, Red Truth sucks. Word of God sucks. You don't need evidence to support it because it's Word of God. But to be fair, Natsuhi's literally like smoking so much. Like she has like 5 imaginary friends, including Kinzo as her personal imaginary friend after the guy died, okay? Like she actually does have him as her imaginary friend, and he's like super supportive and loves her, so it's like I only feel so bad for you when you're like this deluded. A bright red flash of lightning smashed Kinzo over and over again as he screamed. He crumpled like a doll and sat down in his chair as though nothing had happened. The fierce emotion left Kinzo's face. He truly became a wax model. And so we'd never again share kind words with Natsuhi. That's right. The true Kinzo never once trusted Natsuhi during his entire life. The true Kinzo never once considered allowing her to wear the one-winged eagle. Because, of course, Kinzo had already vanished before the start of the game. The Kinzo that appears in this game is nothing more than Natsuhi's delusion. Every part of this Kinzo, who believed in Natsuhi and entrusted her with protecting the family honor, was a phantom. Created by Natsuhi. Pitiful woman. You will now face the truth that you never gained Ushirimiya Kinzo's trust as long as he lived.
Natsuhi. Nakuna.
Don't cry. Kinzo entrusted the Ushirimiya family. To you, right? No, he didn't. Not only did he not entrust her with that, he never even said hello, or met her gaze even once. Truth can be harsh, Natsuhi, sorry. Gotta wake up from your dreams sometime. Natsuhi's cry was a mixture of sadness and many other emotions. And it echoed throughout the cathedral. Natsuhi could no longer stop her fears. Some last faint element that cheered her up until today that had allowed her to endure as an Ushirimiya, as wife to the head's representative and as the final family head, had been torn to bits. Natsuhi no longer had anything left. She could no longer allow herself to even call herself an Ushirimiya. These difficult days, those painful days. The days where she still gave everything she could for the family she'd married into despite it all. The very few happy days among those. All those flitted through her mind one after another and disappeared. All those once beautiful memories were then crushed by Berncastell's red truth, smashed to bits and scattered, plunged deep into her hands, and smeared red with mournful blood. It was the red of sadness and truth. That's all. Just because the crime exists as it does. This level of reasoning is possible for Furuto, Erika. What do you think, everyone? Lambda Delta clapped. A bit later, Berncastel also clapped, looking pleased. The expressionless wax figure-like audience followed suit, and the unshakable verdict was welcomed with a great applause, and so the truth of this tale was decided. That was a spicy one. I'm thinking Battler's gonna show up in 5 minutes and ruin this for everybody. But I think we're gonna have to wait to see how that happens until next time.